Good evening. Hi, Mayor.
So sorry. I thought I was unmuted that whole time. I'm like talking to you,
I
and
was
I'm like,
like,
"Gee, what up?"
I said, am I doing something wrong?
No, it was all me.
Because
I was like,
sometimes if you don't hit that okay, that you're being recorded,
oh yeah.
you
Then
can't
sometimes,
hear. Yeah. Or yeah, you won't be able to hear
yeah. No, I was just jibber jabbering about how I was not going to be speaking that much tonight.
while you're
Um,
in another meeting.
no, I had oral surgery yesterday. This is
Okay.
part two in a three-part process. So
Uh-huh. Hmm.
the medication was starting to wear off. I literally just took some more, and I was like,
Hmm.
yeah,
You might
yeah,
you might be out like a light.
exactly. And the funny thing was, I have a department heads meeting every Wednesday, and we had one earlier. And um, at the beginning of the meeting, said that
Hmm.
when we got close to the end of the meeting, somebody said, "I was like, what?" They're like, "Oh my God, Mayor, your face is growing." because because the medication was had worn off and the swelling was coming back. So of course I got some knuckleheads and they were like, "You look like you're just like inflating."
Were you drooling?
No,
Oh,
that's the good news. Was not, but Lord have
sometimes
mercy.
you can't tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you have your department head meetings once a week?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Trying
Very.
to keep up with all the stuff we're trying to move for improvement. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
You do it via
Christina.
Zoom.
Hi, Marigant.
Hey.
Hi. Hi there. You had your meeting already?
No, it's the PGGDA, Prince George's Gateway Development Authority.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going on from 6 to 6:30, I think. So I was just on for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're still on? Because
Yeah.
it's just the three of us right now. Just the three of us. You could be
Woohoo.
listening in on two meetings.
Nah, it's okay.
Meow, meow. Where's the? I was looking for the agenda while I was driving. I saw all of the good information that you uploaded. You are really cool. I mean, man.
You're cooler.
Man.
Agenda. Okay, let's see.
Is there a link? Yes, in the calendar, in your calendar. I
No, but
know this stuff now.
let me.
Todd,
See.
no, did you see Todd's text? Did he?
To
Are you
whom?
responding? Oh, was it to me only? No,
Oh,
that
is
was to
there a link?
Probably.
everybody.
Okay, I'll send
It
it
was
to
to
him.
everybody.
Oh, I didn't see
He
it.
sent it to everyone. Okay, let
Send
me
it
send it
there,
to
a
him.
link.
Mayor
I know
Cons-
now.
Mayor
Oh, he's
Consanis,
there.
Oh, hey,
Mayor Dudrow, Mayor
Dodro.
Gang,
Send your light.
Dodro.
Send-
Hello, sir. Hello, kind sir. How you doing today?
Hello.
I'm great. I'm great. I am great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey, are we gonna try and do something fun while we're at the winter conference for the Maryland Black Mayors?
Go out to eat.
I don't know if I'm coming to the Maryland to the MMA.
Why?
Um,
Mm.
so basically, you all know I'm getting my master's, and they told me, hey, listen, you're a class short, so either you come to this intensive or you have to wait until next May. And
Oh.
I was like, yeah, I'll be at the intensive. And so then I was still set to be at the MMA stuff. But then I kept getting registration emails from NLC. And I'm like, I didn't register for NLC. I don't understand why I'm getting these emails. So Teresa Kuhn sent me something. And I was like, listen, I'm not coming to NLC. And she was like, "Oh, we registered you and paid for your hotel room. We're sorry for the miscommunication."
Hmm.
And I was
Mm,
like, "Yeah, you kind of got to ask people stuff before you just do that."
mm-hmm. And
So
NLC will
now,
not let you hold on to you. They won't give you a credit.
right? So now I'm coming to NLC,
Hmm.
Yeah. Just a few days later.
right? So I mean, I may be able to hop up there and say hi for the MMA. I have been the mayor for a long time now, and I've never been to MMA.
Okay, that makes me sad. I was also just trying to figure out if we weren't going to go out and do anything, how many bottles of
But if
wine I needed to
but if
bring.
y'all do something, if y'all do something at night, I can, I can come after work.
Yeah, I'm pretty much participating at night. I have to go to work on the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to be there on the 5th for the governor's reception. I'm going to spend the night. I have the hotel room the night, and then I'm going to come back after work. And then on the 7th, I'm staying till the afternoon.
Okay.
And then I'm going to NLC on Sunday. And then I'm going to work on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I'm going to do NLC.
Well, see, and what makes it difficult, NLC, I was at CCC when my pastor was installed as our pastor, right? So his anniversary weekend falls on the same weekend as the Congressional Cities Conference.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna be doing a lot of running back and forth, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's not like you live around the corner, though. That's a lot of
I
running back and forth.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can tell you got some youth in you.
Well, just pray for me. Just,
Mm-hmm.
just keep me lifted in prayer, because
Leave it to
Yes.
us. We're like somebody gonna be left out.
the Bible
Mm-hmm.
says that the youth and young men shall utterly fall, but they that wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
So even the youth
Mhm.
and young men fall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That means you might need to stay put.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel obligated to represent us anytime I need to represent us.
Hmm.
And y'all know what I mean when I say us.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, who's fabulous there?
I know she's going through like
Hello.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what fabulousness or she's going through right now, but you know who we're talking about, right?
No, because I just hear a fabulous voice. So I was just like, who's that fabulous voice?
Oh well, you don't see the face. I see the face. It's
Oh.
Mayor Miller, and Mayor Gann is always fabulous.
My my good friend always says Mayor. And one of my residents actually said, "Good evening, Mayor."
Oh. Oh. No laughing.
Mayor
No
Miller, I got
laughing.
something to tell you.
Oh, you do?
Uh-uh.
And you may again. Y'all gonna laugh. Y'all gonna chuckle.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Go ahead, make us
Just
chuckle.
yeah, thank you for telling me in advance. So
Well, no, so somebody just called me and made a suggestion
Mhm.
that I put someone on that I make someone the chair of a committee. And of course, I had already,
Conference planning committee, I'm sure.
I had
Mhm.
already put that in the works, right? But they
Mhm.
were like, I want to be their co-chair if you do that. And I was like,
Already got
but
that taken care of.
I have to fill in the names for y'all later. I don't
Okay. All right.
I think we
I
pretty
don't,
much know at least one of the names here now. Come on.
I don't know.
I,
What are you guys talking about?
Don't
it
you hate
was
when
it
that?
well let me so I'm gonna put it to you like this, and you can read between the lines. Y'all can read between the lines. If you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, so it was a former president of the MML. So I don't know if I can say this out loud yet, but Mayor Miller is going to be our conference planning chair
Oh
for my
yay.
presidency.
Yay.
Well,
But
thank you.
someone was calling to ask me to make Mayor Miller the chair, not knowing that I spoke to Mayor Miller about it back in November.
Right.
And they were like, I want to be her co-chair, but I got to talk to Mayor Miller before I.
Oh, they said they wanted to be her co-chair.
Yes, catch on, gang, catch on.
Oh, I
Mhm.
thought be the chair.
They want
Ah,
to be they just want to work with Mayor Miller.
well, Todd, we're gonna have to talk about that.
I
'Cause, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't let everybody that close to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I'm very selective.
I know who this is.
You
Mhm.
said, gang, you said you know?
Oh, their former president?
Uh-huh.
Lord of mercy.
You crazy. Okay, what are we supposed? We can talk offline about that because I have an idea who it is, and I'm like, I don't know. So, Madam President,
Hold
hold
on. I am.
okay.
I am signing in. Hold on, this is my job.
We had a migration through this new company who's a big sponsor for MML, VC3.
Uh-huh.
Yep, our top guy is refusing to do it. Our IT guy is like, nope, nope.
So I haven't had emails since the 17th, and you know, because I have several devices, and I'm here in the office because they couldn't get my computer that I use at home up to speed, and they're trying to do remote stuff. And I'm like, the money we pay them, they need to have their behinds in here, taking care of everybody. So it's just been crazy. And I'm like, I'm trying to just breathe, but I almost didn't get on my cable television because the email that they sent, I did not receive it. And so I had to call them because you got to log in. But anyways, I'm just not happy with this company. I am not happy.
Well, can I share a quote with you? Can I share a quote with y'all that my professor gave us?
Mm-hmm.
He said, when you were looking for power to get even, you were looking for power to be destructive.
Mm.
And I almost fell out. Then he goes forward to say, if you ever want people to drink from your fountain, you got to bring a cup that they recognize.
Oh, I like that.
That's good. I like your professor.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I really want to post. Listen, Monica, I want to put one of your moves and post it to Facebook, but I need my intended audience to see it
Mm-hmm.
and to understand what it means.
Yeah.
I think if you do it, you need to put your face on it and your name and make it yours, and make it shareable. I think that's a beautiful quote.
It is. It really is.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah.
And maybe
So-
you could even use it on all of your MML materials as president. Just saying.
Child, that's what I'm thinking about. This is a safe space. I'm very disappointed in the way that the MML is doing business right now.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, I was gonna say, well, now you're just preaching to the choir here. I have not been happy with them in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
My
But see,
my intuition when I got back on in 21, my intuition was like, this is not going in the right direction.
But see, Katrina, my issue is when I start getting unpleased, I start laying people out,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and I cuss.
Do we have an agenda? I don't see it, Mayor.
I sent it, I put it in the chat to you.
That's what I said. I know we have the Kaiser coming. We're working with Kaiser on some health initiatives. So yay for Kaiser coming.
Yeah.
So,
Kaiser
you
for
see the
us,
chat?
yeah.
Yes. I see it.
But my screen is frozen, so I can't make an edit if I need to, but I don't know if you can. Let me know what edits you have.
And did y'all realize that the governor didn't invite any of us to any of their Black History celebrations?
You know what? I noticed that. I was like council members, but you couldn't in the county, in Prince George's County, and you couldn't invite any of us? Or you having something special for us when we come next week? Because I was trying to figure that part out myself.
Well, because they don't understand that we are the boots on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't come out. For some reason, it's Home
But
Depot.
yeah, I felt that too. I was like, I saw the pictures on Facebook. I said, wait a minute, we didn't get him.
Why not? Yeah, I've been waiting for my invite. Just thought, oh, okay.
And don't get me started about that Black male leader in Maryland picture. Don't get me going about that.
The what?
There was a photo of Black male leaders in the state, Black male elected officials, and they tried to use. So y'all know I will go to the source. So I went directly to Delegate Long.
Oh,
And I
right,
was
right.
I was like, what's up with the
Yeah, I
picture?
saw that.
It's way more of us. And he was like, well, we didn't do any municipal elected officials. And I'm like, dog, y'all had Brandon Scott in the picture front and center.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw that picture and I was like, that's it.
But my thing is, don't try to show unity and solidarity
What about
and be divisive in the background.
Right.
Like there is a hierarchy to who does what and what does who. Unfortunately for us, we work in the communities in which we serve.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like y'all, let's celebrate the Black women are the backbone of politics in the state of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Black and brown women, but nobody's celebrating them.
And I see it all the time, how these groups get together and they never think about municipal leaders and mayors and council members.
Baby,
So
until they need our vote.
yeah.
But
yeah.
that's the reason why I've been so upset about this thing with or one of the reasons why I'm so upset about this thing with bringing in, what is it, the one that begins with the C that's over by Gambrels, Crofton, and any other special taxing district. They already don't respect us as
Right.
elected officials.
Right.
And then you want to bring more people in, and I can see it now. Ooh, the MML is saying we represent 800,000 residents. And then you find out 100,000 live in Crofton. And I can hear now those legislators and those folks going, see, they can't even make a dent. That's why they had to go and pad their numbers by bringing in Crofton.
Yeah, and that whole situation, and I think I can openly speak about it now. But what pisses me off the most about that situation is that Mayor Benitez decided that she was going to go repeat that you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me quickly. Oh, hold on. Akiva is coming on. She was trying to look for us. Let me go with the agenda tonight. We're going to have Kaiser. You see that? They're going to do Know Your Numbers, and they'll have a slide presentation. You saw the fruit, vegetables. They'll tell us what to eat, our heart, cholesterol, all that good stuff. And Miss Stephanie Kirk will introduce Dr. Gregory. Dr. Gregory. She'll introduce him, and he'll do the presentation. You have his name. And then we'll have Abel Nunez, and he's from how do you pronounce it? Carison? Miss Monica?
Carecen.
Carison?
Yes.
Carison?
Carecen.
Garrison. They're
Yes.
about a half mile from the White House. That's where they're located. Right? Yes.
They
And
have two offices. They have one in Columbia Heights and they have
One in-
one that they just opened up in Bladensburg.
in Bladensburg, yes. And so he'll give us some information about our immigrants and immigrant protection and how those services can assist us with are undocumented and documented in our neighborhoods so that we know how to assist. I was interested in bringing him here because I watched a clip and he was able to provide information to the schools because I went to some school, some high school, and was trying to pull some students out, and the schools were not informed that ICE could not do that. And I thought that we needed to have that information. So since we're connected with a lot of our schools, elementary, high school, we needed that information. So we're able to inform our schools that ICE cannot just come up and say, we need this person, that person, that person. They cannot do that. Just like Grandpa Joe cannot go up to the school and say, I want my grandson without being on the list, neither can ICE. No one can go up and say they want a child from the school. So he's here to provide us information so that we can inform our residents about those things, and just some forms that we can provide some of our residents. So that's why he's here tonight. And then Kaiser will be able to ask Kaiser some questions, and they'll provide answers, as well as Abel. And I think some of us will know Abel in Prince George's County. And Todd, he'll be able to assist or direct you to some resources as well. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll also get some reports. And I'll let you all know that Mayor Washington won't be here tonight because he lost his mother yesterday. And so he said he'll give me a treasurer's report. Of course, he will not. I told him, don't think about it, but we'll get a treasurer's report as soon as possible. And also, those who know Trina Brown, she lost her brother the day before yesterday, and his funeral was today because he is a Muslim and they bury their dead right away. So feel free to reach out to her as well. We will be providing flowers or plant to Mayor Washington for the passing of his mother. But of course, reach out to him, send him a card, text. Those kind of things are just lovely thoughts. Okay, any questions? Nope. Any concerns with our mayors? Nope. I can't see anyone. Mayor Monica, you can take that down for me. I just see Todd's handsome face. Yeah. His picture. He's so handsome. That's a handsome picture.
He is
Thank you.
handsome. As far as minutes go, is that something that you want me to bring up tonight? Like all the minutes that have been completed, or I have a folder on the Maryland Black Mayor's Gmail account in Google Drive where all the minutes are saved. And then I've also uploaded all of the videos that were saved on Zoom. I've uploaded them to YouTube.
Okay.
So they're on the Maryland Black Mayor's YouTube channel. So how
Mayor.
would you like me to share or discuss that?
So we have a YouTube, so you need to tell us that we have a YouTube channel. So you need to say that in the meeting that we have a YouTube channel. And did you do a new one, or you talked about us having a new one, right? So that we can start uploading our numbers, right? Is it the YouTube channel? What do we have to do new so we can
For the health initiative? For the health initiative, people just need to send me their photos and their numbers. But I'm trying to think if Maybe what I'll do is I'll just create a folder on the Google Drive that'll be open to anyone to upload their items on there. Because we have actually, I think I opened up a photo album for Maryland Black Mayors using that same Gmail account.
Okay. Okay.
I do have something that I'm gonna need y'all's help with. I want to meet with the Maryland Black Mayors and members of the Black Caucus, just so we can identify our priorities for this upcoming MML year, just so I can stay on course. And I'm going to meet with all of the constituency groups, but I want to start with my constituency groups. So I'm hoping that we can formulate this meeting sooner rather than later, whether it needs to be in person or if it needs to be on Zoom. I'll kind of follow y'all's lead and y'all's suggestions on that.
Let me ask you this. Are the constituency groups effective?
In my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
the initial intention of the constituency groups are not being carried out. And because of it, it has made it completely ineffective. I'm not sure what, I know that the LGBTQIA plus group, I
Mm-hmm.
know that they meet frequently and they're effective for things that they, you know, that they want to cause for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Latina Dad. I hope I'm saying it properly, Monica. If I'm not, just please correct me. I'm not sure about them because the lines have been very, very blurred for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Black, and in regards to the Black Caucus, the MML has moved awful concerning the Black Caucus, even down to them removing Mayor Casey as the chair last year and calling Ethiop and saying, "Hey, we want you to be the new chair." Now, keep in mind, this man was a brand spanking new elected official
From Riverdale, right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, you know, me becoming president-elect, I had to relinquish my duties within that. Casey was like, "I'm not doing this anymore." And now the Black Caucus is not even meeting. They haven't had a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, not effective, and what's the point almost?
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Thank you. I was thinking that. So some are effective and some are not.
None of the ones that we identify with are.
Right. Shame. Shame. But I'm glad a couple are working out. But it's a shame, right? So your goal is to get some up and running.
Yes, and see, the good news about Maryland Black Mayors is that we are not under the MML umbrella. So we can do things that the caucus can't do. But if we work collectively, their mission and the things that need to get done, because ultimately all of us, the Maryland Black Mayors, should be a part of the caucus. We could still get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want us to, number one, I want us to carry this the way that we carry NLC. Monica, you know, kind of like how we did before. Okay, so who's signing up for what committees? Who's going to be in what spaces? to ensure that we get, adequate representation, because unfortunately, even down to the MML has not spoken out about the
Ms.
deportation.
Stewart says she's looking to get in the meeting.
I agree with you about MML. We need to make a decision. We're paying more dues and we're getting less representation. And then I feel like they want to tell us what to do, but we pay dues to them to work for us. And it's just not right. We have to pay dues, but then you're gonna tell us what you're gonna do for us instead of us telling you what we want you to do for us and how to represent. And even not even taking a position with the annexation part, just to say we're not gonna touch it. I'm like, and not even have a conversation with us. So I just feel like we really, really need to start thinking about doing something else. Like I already belong to NLC and we're thinking about joining the counties of government because we're just not getting what we need. It's more frustrating than actually feeling like we're a part of somebody that really has our back. And I just don't feel it.
And it's like they're purposefully taking the role of the actual board of directors, right? And they're leaving everything in the executive committee. And it's not healthy, despite my fight against it. And, me, Mayor James, and even Mayor Benitez, I think, recently they wanted to support legislation or support a case that was going before the Supreme Court where officers wouldn't be held liable for basically negligence at their jobs. We all value police officers, but this was something out of Illinois. It wasn't something that happened in Maryland. We already have the police accountability boards and everything like that. So I felt like it was wasted energy. Basically, what happened was a woman was being domestically assaulted by her husband, and the police were called. They arrested him. She went to the hospital, and then she contacted the arresting officer, and he said, "We're holding him for 24 hours. We're holding him for 24 hours so you can go to your house and you can get your stuff so you can, you can relocate." Well, they actually weren't holding him for 24 hours. She went to the house, no escort, no nothing. He goes to the house and he murders her.
Mm.
And the police were held responsible. Along with him, of course. They were charged with something. And basically the MML was trying to sign on to legislation that would exonerate officers from situations like that moving forward.
Yeah, no.
And they only wanted us to vote on it in executive committee, despite the fact that I kept saying, take it to the board, take it to the board, take it to the board. It never made it to the board. But I think that they backed off of it because,
So here's my concern. I was talking about this with someone else. When I talk to people about MML, when I talk to my husband about MML, there's confusion because at the end of the day, Teresa is supposed to report to the board and to the MML president, but she doesn't. The way that it's been operating is that she only reports to the exec committee. So I think that whole dynamic needs to change. I don't like the way things are being run. I don't like her leadership style.
Nope.
And I think that there is an imbalance of power going on. And I don't know how to fix it, but you're going to be the incoming president, Mayor Knox. So I don't know if we need more clarity on how all of this works.
But Monica, you want to know how we fix it, right? We fix it by stacking the board. We have to get organized to stack the board so that when we decide on an executive committee, when she comes and says, I want this to stay in the executive committee, Me and Mayor James aren't the only two people that are saying no, it needs to go to the board. We need to have people on there that are going to say no, that goes to the board.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry. We have somebody from Kaiser on.
Ooh, sorry.
Do we, Monica?
Yes, we do.
Hey, we're early. I don't know if we need to jump off so you guys get started. Sorry, didn't mean to jump in early.
Oh, hello.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Thank you. You're fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're going to we're just finishing up our exec board meeting. I don't think we can put you in another room. So we'll curb our conversation a little bit.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can come back at 7 if you want.
No, it's fine. I think we're okay. What I was going to say is if anybody is staying overnight, any of the nights of the conference or whatever, I will bring some wine. I brought it last year, but we never got a chance to do anything with it. So I will bring bottles of wine, bring your own glass. Let's set up a chance to sit down and talk in the evening on one of the nights when people are staying overnight. Let's just set ourselves up to be able to get together somewhere and just sit down and talk.
Yeah, one of the plans for the governor's reception that evening, they were going to we were going to go on a boat ride, but the thing is the boat ride did not include any snacks or food. So we canceled it, and because it was just going to be drinks. And so it was canceled. And so after the reception, it's just dinner on your own, as we usually do. So it's dinner on your own. So we can definitely get together, dinner, and then, you know, it's always whatever.
So what night are we doing our call? Are we doing it after?
Are you talking about PGCMA?
Yeah.
That's the 5th.
That's the night of the reception.
Of the reception, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, they didn't know that. That's why I was saying what time is the reception over at 8?
Yes, it's over at 8.
Yeah. That's a different, they don't know.
Yeah, I know, but I was just saying for us to get on the call and how we're gonna do dinner, that's the only thing I was just figure out.
Yeah, I understand that. If was that the final thing on that is definitely going to be Wednesday night?
Yeah,
8:30.
they moved it from Thursday
Well,
night
shoot.
to Wednesday night.
Do you have to register for the governor's
governor's-
gala?
Yeah.
Yes, you got an email. You have to register.
Yes.
You
can
should have
do it.
gotten an email.
But I thought it was just part of, oh God, I probably didn't know.
No, because they have security concerns.
Right.
So
You remember last year.
So what happened last year? But anyway, so they asked us through MML, but then this week at the beginning of the week came the direct invitation from the governor.
Oh, it did? I didn't see
Uh-huh. It's an Evite, so it looks like an invitation. I think it was Monday, maybe it was last Friday, but I think it was Monday.
It? Can someone send it to all of us? Because I didn't get it either.
I don't know if I'm allowed to send it because it came straight from the governor's office and it said my name pre-populated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, so I'm gonna
mine
show
did
you what it
too.
looks like. Hold on, I'm gonna show you
Yeah.
what it looks like. Okay, so it's this. It says Office of Governor Wes Moore. It was sent on Friday at 10:18 p.m.
I didn't get one.
And then you have to
Go through your junk
So
mail
it's
and make sure it
6
didn't
to
go into your junk.
7:30.
6 p.m. to 7:30.
Yeah. Okay.
Go through your junk mail and check and see if it accidentally got flagged.
It's gov.events@maryland.gov. Thanks for reminding me, because
Yeah, I registered yesterday.
Okay, if it looks like that, then you're good to go.
Well, I still registered.
Yeah,
They did.
even if you registered, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
You should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but I know that MML collected our registrations for it. But then they said it was going to be another invitation that would come directly from the governor, and then that's the one that Monica just showed.
Oh, no, I didn't get that one.
So you can't bring a
Okay,
plus
look.
one?
You can put
Yes, you can.
$35.
On that, at the bottom, it asks you if you want one more person, but then you have to provide their name and you have to provide their phone number or email address, one of those two.
Because I just
Um,
looked and it didn't have that.
On the one for MML, if you
It-
go back to the one for MML, it allows you to
And
register by placing your name and your telephone number, and then it asks you for your plus one. And all you do is provide their name and $35.
mhm.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't see the
I
$35
didn't
part.
see the $35.
And it came from MML?
That's the one that came a while ago. Yeah. Maybe a month. No, it wasn't a month
MMA.
ago.
So if
MMA.
you didn't get the link, who do you need to contact?
It's
Because I didn't receive it. I
MMA.
looked through all my emails.
I would call Felicia from MML.
It's MMA. MMA.
Yeah, it was
Is
just
it
kind of
this?
crazy how it's all embedded in MML. It doesn't really.
It's your MMA newsletter.
Yeah, it was this one.
So it's click here to RSP for the governor's
Yep.
reception.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
But reach out to
Yes,
Felicia
yes.
because she may have been collecting all the information and sent it to the governor's office.
Mhm.
And then the governor's office sent out the one that looks fancy.
Mhm.
Can someone send me Keisha's information? Because I don't have that either.
Felicia?
Felicia, yes.
Oh, what is her last name?
I'll send it. I'll put Felicia's Benavides information to you.
Thank you.
All right. Alrighty. It is almost 7. We're doing good. Was something that we were talking about. Oh, I want you to just part of the conversation, and I won't go detail, but you have to remember member benefits. Though a little disappointed, but member benefits and legit
Yes.
for police officers and insurance coverage. You may not have insurance coverage, meaning health insurance coverage through legit, but your insurance.
Your risk. Yeah, your risk management.
Through legit. So that's a huge coverage. And when you are not with MML, that's one loss that you will experience. So
What I've also wondered about with that, and I guess we can have a deeper conversation.
yeah,
But what I've also wondered about that, because legit is also for MACO. So can we join MACO?
that's mainly county.
I know.
eligible.
Yeah, that's county. So who's that? Who's that, Todd?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just you have to consider that. So under the umbrella of MML, all of those other benefits are part of it. So that's what makes it so hard to say, I quit you.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
we can figure that out. I don't think they're the only ones.
No, I'm just saying to get that kind of coverage. I went through
know.
this. Yeah, I went through this last year. I was really angry when I saw how much the prices went up, and I wanted out.
Mhm.
And that is when I found out that all of these other things were connected to it.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, we get our health care through them, as well as everything with risk management, as well as everything with our police insurance.
Yep.
And when we started looking at all that, it was like there's basically hardly anybody else even in the business. And those other prices when we first started looking were outrageous.
Yep.
So that's when I was kind of thinking about maybe there's the plot. Maybe we can just, because we don't need MACO for everything else. We only needed MACO just so we could
Mayor,
get it up.
Mayor, because of that, we have to be able to grow where we're planted.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to go ahead and call our meeting to order and welcome you all to our Maryland Black Mayors meeting this evening. Let me change my view so I can see everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. My name is Tracy Gantz, and I am the president of Maryland Black Mayors, and we represent the state of Maryland. We have Mayor Cynthia Miller, who's our vice president.
Good
We
evening.
have, yep, she said good evening. We have with us also our secretary, Mayor Monica Casañas, and she's the mayor of Colmore Manor. And Mayor Cynthia Miller, she's the mayor of District Heights. And former Mayor Washington, he is not with us tonight. He's our treasurer. And I say that because we have some guests here early, and we have our finance chair, Mayor Robinson, with us tonight. And we have our board members, Mayor Knock, who is from Pocomoke, Mayor Dudrow, who is mayor of New Carrollton, and we have Mayor Stewart, who's the mayor in Fairmount Heights. And we also have, do we have any other board members here right now? Nope, we don't have any other board members represented right now. And we have our guest here, Miss Stephanie Kirk from Kaiser Permanente. I have been talking with Miss Kirk for a little bit now. Had the pleasure of meeting her at our fall conference in Ocean City. And welcome. And we also have someone who is very familiar with a few of us, Mr. Abel Nunez. Welcome from Carician. Did I say it right, Mayor Casañas? Carician, or no, Carician. Did I say it close?
Close.
Close.
How do you say the name of your organization, Mr. Nunez?
Carecen.
Carecen.
There you go.
There it is. Said it. So welcome, mayors, and welcome invited guests. We're going to start off with the mayors signing in. Just go ahead and sign in on the chat so we can have you accounted for tonight. I do see that we have Mayor Cross from Glenarden. We also have Chair Wheatley from Cottage City. And we have Mayor James from Bladensburg here. And yep.
Mayor Lily.
Mayor Lily from Forest Heights, I see. Fantastic. Fantastic. So go ahead and put your names in the chat. So February was Heart Healthy Month. And I spoke with, well, we're still in February. I spoke with Ms. Kirk about it, and I told her about our initiative. And the Maryland Black Mayors, we're going to start the initiative of knowing our numbers, and we're going to take it through the month. Through the year. And we have a committee. Mayor Lily is taking that charge for our committee. And what are we calling that committee, Mayor Lily?
We are calling it the Maryland Black Mayors Health Initiative for 2024.
2025.
It's 5. 2025, you're correct, thank you.
Maryland Black Mayors Health Initiative Committee. And so what we're doing is we're going to go ahead every time we are at the doctor's office and we're getting our getting our numbers done, just taking care of ourselves. We're going to take photos and we're going to post them. Mayor Casañas, we're sending them to Mayor Casañas, and she's posting them. And we're encouraging others to just know their numbers and just be serious about taking care of ourselves, putting ourselves first. So we're hoping that others will just jump on and do the same thing. So Ms. Kirk, we're going to start with you, and you can introduce those who are along with you and let us know if you want to screen share or whatever it is that you need. So I yield the floor to you, Ms. Kirk.
Thank you so much, Mayor Grant. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Akinto, who's going to be the presenter for tonight. So as he brings up his screen, I will just say, as Kaiser Permanente, we are a non-for-profit healthcare organization. So in addition to offering healthcare benefits, either through MML or directly with us, we do a lot for community outreach and making sure that we are serving our constituents in the ways that they need. So that can be through our schools, our communities. And tonight we're going to be talking about just prevention. You know, that's what our organization is built on. And we have a lot of initiatives around health equity. And we are very firm believers of what is right for all of us is right for all of us. So with that, I'm not going to take up any more time and get to knowing your numbers and just the importance of health. So happy Health Heart Month. And please follow up with me or Mayor Gant if you have any questions or want us to come out to any of your community events or of your other events that we can spread prevention or also talk about healthcare benefits.
Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. Can you all see my screen well?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much for having us here with you today. And I'm really excited to talk about knowing your numbers and how this can impact your health. So my name is Kwame Poto. I am the Assistant Physician Chief for Resource Utilization for Kaiser in the Baltimore service area, as well as the Chief of Medical Specialties. And I myself am a family medicine physician practicing in South Baltimore. You can see a little bit about my background here. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the agenda is really to learn a little bit more about blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and body mass index, and how we can use those tools to make sure that we can empower ourselves and avoid any bad outcomes in our health. Discuss everyday habits that you can use that I think are quick, easy things to just start to initiate, and then review some of the resources that we have at Kaiser Permanente, which really help make these healthy habits stick well. First thing, I just wanted to kind of really briefly just kind of show some fast facts here. So the leading causes of death, and this is all groups, all demographics in the United States, with the latest data from 2022. You can see them listed here. They haven't changed much over the last few decades, you know, heart disease being the primary one, cancer, all types being number 2. The only thing that really has changed since 2020, of course, is COVID-19 being listed, but everything else has been pretty consistent. And the reason why I like to bring this up is there's a disproportionate amount of impact in our communities of these conditions, and knowing these numbers is really important to avoid some of these complications. And these are just some of the health disparities that we see. So Black mortality is significantly higher when you adjust for age, and in particularly the young old, which is 65 to 70, we see that it's higher than most groups in the United States. And Black life expectancy, unfortunately, since 2019 dropped 4 years. And the incidence of cancer, this one is probably the most odd, is lower in Black women than it is in white women. However, the death rates from cancer are highest. So there's a really big variance here, and we really want to try to do what we can to help prevent this. So I want to just dive right into health numbers and what this means. So all of these things are a component of some of those things that I showed you on the fast facts. You know, heart disease is directly linked to blood pressure, blood sugar, your body weight, your activity, all these kind of things. These are the latest guidelines from the American Heart Association in regards to blood pressure. So they changed a little bit. The guidelines got a little bit more aggressive. You can see the normal range for this, the top number, the systolic, that's when your heart is beating. The pressure should be less than 120, and the diastolic is the time between heartbeats. And now the goal is to keep that below 80. And at every sort of 9 millimeter of mercury increment, you can see we go into a different stage here. So normal is there, elevated is what previously used to be called normal. Hypertension stage 1 is where you see 130 to 139 and the diastolic 80 to 89. And then anything above that is what we call stage 2. That's a particularly worrisome stage. If you get into that stage, we see a much higher incidence of heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, vision problems. So it's really important that people stay on top of this and stay aggressive. For cholesterol, these are sort of the normal thresholds that we recommend now. For total cholesterol, less than 200. The sum is, the total cholesterol is a sum of the LDL, which is bad cholesterol. So I like to just tell people L for low, H for high. HDL is the good cholesterol. And then triglycerides, which are storage fat that we use for energy. We try to keep the LDL below 100. HDL, you'll see sources that say 40 and above is normal, which is technically correct. However, 60 and above has been shown to have a much more profound impact in reducing the risk of heart attack and stroke. So we generally try to get people as high as we can with that. And triglycerides or storage fat, we try to keep below 150. This may vary in terms of how often you check this with your healthcare team. Some doctors like to check it every year. Depending on your baseline health conditions, it may vary. But it is important to know your baseline and stay on top of it. And then blood sugar, we actually do this really special test that checks your 8 to 12 week sugar average. It's called A1C. We measure the sugar that's attached to your blood cells. What's considered normal now, that also changed over the past few years. It's become, again, lower thresholds to be more aggressive, 5.6% or below. And that would correspond, if you see the fasting blood sugar here of 99. Pre-diabetic is within the range of 5.7 to 6.4. This is important. 1 in 3 people in the United States is either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and most of the pre-diabetic people actually do not know they are pre-diabetic, so it's important they get screened. And you can see the corresponding numbers there. And then for overt diabetes, this is where we get to 6.5% or above, and you generally should definitely be taking care of this with your your healthcare team as well. And then the last thing, as far as knowing your numbers, is the body mass index. So this was a tool really developed for more like population screening. However, it does serve as a really good guide, even in the personalized visit when we have with patients, to just kind of know. It does tend to sort of trend well with higher risk of some of those complications that we saw on the first slide. So this is just calculated with the weight divided by height squared, and I'm sure you all have heard this. There's a lot of debate about how to tweak this and make this more accurate going forward. But generally, the broad guidelines are 18.5 and below is considered underweight. What we consider normal weight is 18.5 to 24.9, overweight 25 to 29.9, and obese 30 and above. And there's a lot of variability here. So particularly in the Black community, we tend to have a higher body mass index. There has been some link with just higher bone density and muscle mass as well. So again, this one is really one that's important to talk to your doctor to know a little bit more about what it means in context for each individual. And then whole body health, get your other screenings, bone health, in particular, women 65 and above, we recommend you get bone density scans. Your eye health, get your vision screen. This tends to change as we age. Our hearing is very important. Actually, impaired hearing has been linked with memory loss and dementia. So it's really important to stay on top of all of these things. See your dentist and any other things that are listed here as far as preventive care. And then for vaccinations, this is a really, really huge tool in maintaining health. So the flu shot we recommend every season, your tetanus shot every 10 years. Shingles, the age has been lowered recently to 50 and above. Pneumonia also has been lowered recently to 50 and above. COVID-19, talk to your doctor because there are different guidelines for different people. And then there are other vaccines that may be specific for you. One that's really important in this, in particular for women, is the HPV vaccine, which for all of us probably on this call came out later than when we were in our generation, but it has been shown to help prevent cervical cancer, which is closely linked to the HPV virus. So what can you do? And, what do you guys like to do? So feel free to chime in here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about things that I do and also things that I recommend for patients. But if you, have any big tools or things you want to drop in the chat, of course, this is a good time to do. So I want to go through all of these healthy habits. So the number one thing I think is really, we want to emphasize getting moving in our communities. And This can be daunting to people because they're like, oh, I'm busy. I got to work, got to commute. I don't have time. I've got kids. I got to do all these kind of things. And I think the best way to approach this is to just start small. So the big goal is we want to try to get 150 minutes a week and for adults, and then 2 days of some resistance activity. But you can really tweak this to what works for you. So for me, the week is terribly busy. So I actually do it on the weekend. I do 75 minutes on Saturday, 75 minutes on Sunday, and that's my exercise for the week. But you can start small. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anything that you have access to is important. And exercise is easy in terms of what you can do that counts as fitness. So at Kaiser, for instance, we have access to this program called ClassPass, where there are about 4,000 workouts. Our members can do that right in their homes. I use it myself. I just pull it up on my phone and just follow the trainer on the app. You can do things like walking briskly, with friends and family out in the community. I encourage people sometimes when in the winter to go to like the mall and just kind of walk around. Of course, be careful, don't spend all your money, but just kind of walk around in there. So the weather is nice in there and you can just get some movement. And then little things. So if you go grocery shopping, park further away so that you can walk further into the building. When you go into a building, try to use the stairs if you're able to. In my office, I have little resistance bands, so I will use those in between patients or at lunchtime or something like that. So any of these kind of little things really adds up in terms of keeping our heart engaged. But we do really encourage you to try to get into formal activity. Exercise has been shown to reduce the risk of all those complications that I showed in the beginning. It also has been shown to have a positive impact on our memory, our mood, and just our personal relationships with our friends and family. So this is really key in maintaining independence as we age as well. Eating healthy. So this is another one where people sometimes are like, oh man, where do I even start? And again, start slow. So our goal is we want you to get in lots of fruits and vegetables and whole grains and lean proteins if you can into your diet, and try to avoid the super hyper processed, ultra processed foods that we're seeing. Those have been linked with increased body inflammation, higher risk of heart disease, higher risk of diabetes. And what I think works well here is to take it sort of week by week. So what I encourage patients to do is the days you're off, sit down with your family and just actually map out a plan of what you're going to eat for the next few days. And that way you can, plan your caloric intake and make sure you're not overeating or sort of eating to your cravings, which can happen during the busy sort of week. So, for my family, Saturday, Sunday, we'll sit down, we'll map out what we're going to have for the week. We don't necessarily have to make it. I'm not saying to prep everything because, we may not have time to do that, but we know what we're going to have each day. Even if it's something we're going to go eat out, we have that plan there in place. And that really helps to make sure that you can add in all the things that you want to do. And then we really, as far as snacking and things like that, I just ask people to sort of, again, stay cautious. Try to have high protein snacks or high fiber snacks. Those are more filling and you won't get cravings later. So that's very helpful. Avoid sort of the artificial sugars. The thinking behind that was, we replace real sugar with artificial sugars, we'll see less obesity and diabetes. But paradoxically, it actually increases your hunger center because it's fake sugar, it gets to your gut, and your gut doesn't actually get the sugar, which it needs for energy. That's the main reason we have sugar. It actually makes people hungrier. They eat more. So if you see people drinking diet sodas and all those sweeteners and things like that, it actually has an adverse effect for you for the long run. And they're also thought to be endocrine disruptors, which can have all kinds of effects on the body. Managing stress is really important. When we are stressed, it's not just a mental thing. We actually are releasing neurotransmitters and hormones that have effects generally on our body. And at Kaiser, we have access to these two programs called Headspace and Calm. I like to use Calm. It's actually was ranked the #1 app of the year by Apple a few years ago. But there's so many other resources on there. I encourage patients, take a minute, do some mindfulness stuff. We're all really busy. We get hit with emails and text messages. And, if you just sit there with your phone one day, even if you don't interact with it, there's just so many things on there. It's very distracting. So put the phone away for 5 minutes. Take that 5 minutes, just think about the day, think about something that brought you joy, think about something you're planning for or looking forward to. You can meditate, pray, do yoga, things that are going to really help to center yourself. I like to do a deep breathing technique. It's called the 4-7-8 technique, which you can look up online. But the 4-7-8 stands for how many seconds you do each phase. It has been shown to reduce anxiety levels, help people to center. I even do it if I'm going to do something that I think is going to make me nervous. I'll do it right before. And some patients, I direct them to use it before they go to sleep. It helps them to deal with insomnia and all the anxiousness as they, tuck in for the night. Other things you can do, journaling. They have free apps on phones now that you can use. Listen to some music, something soothing and relaxing, but you have to give your mind a break. It's just like the rest of your body. I tell people it's like you wouldn't run, continuously every day nonstop, right? You don't want your mind doing that, racing every day nonstop. You want to take that time and reflect and give it time to just sort of rest and reset. And then sleep is huge. So we don't talk too much about this, but it's so important. Your body needs it to reset. All those things that build up, in your brain, it needs that time to flush all that stuff out. It's also been shown that poor sleep is directly associated with some of those outcomes like high blood pressure, diabetes, premature death, and just the host of other things. We generally recommend for adults most adults to try to get about 7 hours a night, which is sort of the sweet spot. Actually, sleeping much beyond that has actually also been linked to some adverse health effects. So about 7 hours is good for most adults, although, obviously there's some variation between people. And this is going to sound weird, but, really what they found to be most effective is keeping the room really cool, which it's always funny to me, but so about 70 degrees was actually found to be the optimal temperature for most people. And you want to get good quality sleep, so you want to avoid anything that's stimulating to the brain. Screens, cell phones, tablets, TVs, they release a wavelength of light that's very stimulating to the brain. So you want to try to avoid those if you can. If you cannot, most of them now offer a night mode where it turns it to this more yellowish light, and that yellowish light is less stimulating. So if you need to, send that last email or whatever, what I like to do on my phone is I actually set it to automatically turn to night mode after a certain time. And anything that I do beyond that, then it's going to use that less stimulating light. And then just try to keep the bedroom as a place where you just sleep. Meaning, don't eat there, don't work there. Really just sleep and sex, if you're in a relationship, really should be the only thing. You want to get your brain sort of trained to come into this space and then just go to sleep. So those are some really important things for your overall health. And it's just all about small changes. Don't try to do everything all at once. It can get overwhelming and it's hard to get over that hump. So just try one small thing, try for a few weeks, even a few months, and then try to add something else in there until you really made everything a habit and it just becomes second nature. So we have really great resources on our Kaiser Permanente website. I use it all the time. We have a health encyclopedia that goes into some of the definitions of the things I talked about. We give out information as far as cancer screenings, what are the age thresholds that you want to get these things done, and what may be personalized for you and your family based on your personal history. We have a lot of tools for self-care, like I talked about before, things like the Calm and Headspace. And then preventive care. We're really big on preventive care because, once you get some of these health complications, it may be too late to, to reverse them or to stabilize them without really causing significant problems for you and your family. So prevention is the most important part, and you will see most of the things listed in the top 10 causes of death are mostly preventable. So we really want to really encourage our friends and family to do this. And, I come from a family of healthcare providers, but, we're always on each other, like, hey, did you get your, colonoscopy? Did you get your mammogram? Did you get your blood test? Everybody sort of works together and, it's a neighborhood, it's a village, right? So you really want to reach out friends and family and just let everyone know how important all of this is. So I do encourage you to, if you have time, take a look at our site. And that's basically it for me. I'll stop there. If you have any questions or comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kwame. Thank you so much. That was great. That was great information and a lot of information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Dr. Kwame? Do they call you Dr. Kwame or do they call you Dr.
Akoto?
Akoto?
Yep.
Dr. Akoto.
Yes. Perfect. Yep.
Dr. Akoto. Are there any questions? I have a question. I'll start with one question. Let me see. I wrote a lot of notes. The HPV. What was the age for HPV?
So we started age about 10, but now the recommendations have gone up to age 45. Yeah, so we used to only do teens, but now actually it's been found to be protective beyond that. So age 45 is still the CDC recommendation.
And that's a series of
yes,
shots.
Depending on which one you get, there's two different types, but it's either a 2-shot or a 3-shot series, depending on what you get. Most people get the 2-shot series at this point. It doesn't also, it protects against other strains of viruses that are not just associated with cervical cancer, and that includes like warts. You know, if you've ever seen people with warts in their skin, things like that, it does prevent the major strains that cause that. So it's about 9 strains of HPV that it protects against.
Okay. And you went through diabetes. You went through it so fast. I couldn't write down the number so quickly. No, it's okay. So 5.6 was the norm.
5.6 and below is normal.
Okay.
5.7 to 6.4 is pre-diabetic. And then above that, anything above that is diabetic. And 1 in 3, the estimates now are 1 in 3 people are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. So it's actually far more prevalent than most people know. Most people just never get it checked.
And for the website, do you have to be a Kaiser member in order to go to the website and use the benefits of the information?
No, you can actually look straight. If you go in there, there's a little section that says explore topics. You can actually just go in there and type things in, and you can see all the information sort of freely. There are some things that are, behind the portal, which is, specifically for patients. So like if somebody say wants to sign up for a class, like the other day I did a plant-based eating class I signed up for, and the nutritionist was there on video kind of explaining things. So those kind of things, you have to be a member, but most of the information you can just just go to the topic and it'll tell you all about it.
Okay. And it'll stop you if you have to be a member. Otherwise it'll stop you.
Yeah, but you'll find a lot of information on there.
And one more question. The 150 hours a week, is that
Minutes.
a particular minutes? I'm sorry. Is that a particular age group, or is that like set mainly?
So that's the recommendation for adults. That was found to be the minimum amount of time that would have a significant impact on heart health and all the other things that I talked about. So 150 minutes, and then out of the 150, we want 2 days of that to be some kind of resistance. So, body weight exercises, resistance, weight training, things like that. Because as we age, our bones, our joints, our muscles, they all get weaker. So it's important to keep them engaged. And the 150 minutes doesn't have to be formal exercise. I have a patient, she likes dancing. So she goes out on the weekends and she just dances, so that's her exercise. I had a patient that likes to do like skateboarding or something like that. So he did all this stuff and he moves around, he sweats, his heart rate gets up. In general, if you are speaking and you feel like you could speak like we are speaking now, but you're a little bit short of breath, that's how you know you're getting good cardiac activity with that exercise. So just something active. If you're totally out of breath, then that's really vigorous exercise and that's a different thing. But the activity that we know helps the heart is just enough that you could speak like this, but you'd be speaking a little bit faster or a little bit, deeper breathing.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have anything? Mayor Miller, did you have something that?
Oh, yes. Very good information. I mean, we hear from our doctors, but to hear it again, it's always great. So for me, it was recommended that I get the RSV vaccination and the flu shot. I've always gotten the flu shot, and then they added on the pneumonia shot and the RSV. And I'm glad I did it because a lot of people got sick with the respiratory areas. And so a lot of times people feel like, oh, I'm not going to do that vaccination. And I feel that it's for a reason. And to me, it really gives you more life when you're doing these vaccinations. But some people just don't. But
So that's a good point you mentioned. And a lot of times, especially with our younger cohort of patients, they're like, I'm okay. I never get sick. I hear that phrase a million times a day. The way I tell people to think about it is like getting in your car. You get in your car, you put on your seatbelt. I don't get in the car with the expectation that I'm going to have a car accident that day, right? Nobody ever thinks, all right, today's the day I'm going to have a car accident. But you put that belt on in case, right? In case something happens, you are protected. And that's the way I like to think about vaccines. Just in case you get that exposure, you are, better protected than you would be on your own. So that's the kind of way I try to get people to kind of frame it that way, where they're thinking more about prevention and not like, oh, I'm healthy, nothing's going to happen to me, because no one knows, right? This year is the first time in my entire life I got the flu. In my entire life, I've worked with flu patients for 15 years, been in ICUs, things like that. I've never gotten the flu, but this happened to be the year that I got it. And it was so mild that I was better after like a day, So, you just never know what'll happen.
So you had spoke about the pre-diabetic, because a lot of Blacks are diabetics, a majority, a lot of them. So what is the pre-diabetics? Because I see it's increasing more, being a pre-diabetic, not only just a diabetic, as you stated. So how do you get out of that pre-diabetic stage, for those numbers before you get to be we don't want to be a diabetic. So,
Yeah, great question. So prediabetes and diabetes both can be put back to normal range, right? So in diabetes, we call it remission when you get back to normal. For prediabetes, yes, that's why it's good to know the numbers so you can be aggressive with your interventions and to prevent the diabetes from developing. And the best way to do that is, I tell people, just think like you are already diabetic, meaning you want to have a special way that you eat. And you'll see that actually on our website. It's called the plate method, is what the most basic thing I recommend, which is when you're eating something, the starchy part, the part that's the carbohydrate, the sugar, should be just a quarter of your plate. And then the rest of your plate, we recommend you try to get a quarter of the plate be a protein, and then half of the plate be a non-starchy fruit or vegetable. So a good plate would look like maybe a quarter of rice, a quarter of fish, and then a non-starchy fruit or vegetable like, I don't know, spinach or something like that. Would be a good way to kind of balance out when you go eat. You want to try to avoid a lot of the really high carbohydrate snacks, which really get people a lot. So, the cakes, the candy, the juice, the soda, in particular, liquid calories, because they have no other nutrition except the fluid and the sugar. Once they get to your stomach, they instantly absorb and they spike your sugar. So a good thing to think about, like, let's say I eat an apple. The apple has fiber, that skin around it. So when it gets to my stomach, the stomach has to work harder to digest it. So the sugar takes longer to absorb. Whereas if I drink apple juice, I've removed all the fiber. As soon as it hits my stomach, all that sugar is in my bloodstream and it's going to spike right away. So you want to try to think about how to add more fiber and add more protein to the diet, because they slow down and counteract how that sugar gets absorbed. So generally that plate method, I think, is a really good idea. And if you look on our site or anywhere online, you'll see some tips about how to do that effectively. That's the number one thing. I think in general, Americans in general, we don't get a lot of fiber, unfortunately. So that you just have to be intentional, make sure you try to get regular fruits and vegetables. And that's where prepping from week to week and giving yourself an idea of what you want to have makes it easier, because then you can, kind of target it. But that's how you start with the prediabetes. The other thing is activity. When you exercise, your muscles burn sugar. So anything that's active, take a brisk walk, do some stretches, any of those other things that I mentioned. Every time you do that, your body is burning the sugar as energy. So if you can get yourself more active, that'll also help. But yeah, diabetes and prediabetes has unfortunately, rates have been increasing over the last few decades. And we think there are a lot of different reasons why, not just our sugar intake. It looks like maybe those processed foods also started an inflammatory process that might trigger this as well. So we just need to be, really careful with our preventive techniques.
Well, what about the alcohol, the beer and the alcohol? That's what I want to know about.
Good question. So again, if it's like liquors and things like that, they don't have a lot of carbohydrate in them. So something like vodka or something doesn't. But the mixed drinks, which people tend to like, the wine, those have a lot of carbs in them. Beer doesn't tend to have a lot in terms of affecting this. But when people are diabetic, we generally don't recommend they drink a lot of alcohol anyway, for various reasons. But if you're, you'll see the recommendations now for women, 1 drink a day or less, men, 2 drinks a day or less. But actually it's looking like we're gonna maybe adjust those recommendations, because alcohol technically is a toxin. It doesn't really have any nutritional benefit. So we really don't encourage like regular drinking. Now, don't get me wrong, if I go out with my buddies or on the weekend or something, I might have a drink or 2. But in general, alcohol doesn't really have much health benefit. So, we don't recommend like regular drinking if you can avoid it.
But thank you, Doc.
All right, you're welcome.
Mayor Ashton has her hand up.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here and all the ideas you're sharing. I also appreciate that you acknowledge that we can change our numbers with diet and exercise, right? I have a question for you is, in your opinion, do you recommend cardio after strength training? I know that's a debate that's going on right now.
It's a big debate in the fitness world. It doesn't really look like it matters, honestly. Most people, though, when they do the cardio first, they tend to get sort of more fatigued, which makes it a little bit harder for them to do the strength training. It just kind of varies from person to person. There really isn't any medical recommendation for it, one versus the other being first if you're doing it. But, so whatever works for you. I mean, I'll tell you, for me, I generally do the strength training first, but sometimes I do the opposite. We haven't really found any evidence that one is better than the other, but you will see people insistent online, like they're like, oh, I have to do this one first versus this thing. Just whatever works for you, as long as you can try to get within those goals of the minimum 150 minutes. That's the most important thing.
Mayor Porter has a question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor,
Well, thank you, doctor. I just had my physical, so I was looking at my numbers, and I'm actually have to go back in for an additional, consultation. And I know that thing, that old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and the fiber. Are there other, as far as you talk about the fiber on the apple, but the fiber on a pear? Are fruits? Because I'm a big fruit eater. Okay, but did you go over again the fruits, the best fruits to eat, and then maybe the best green leafy vegetables to actually eat? Put that in your arrangement. Now I've been told that I have to cut down on white rice, but can I have what's called cauliflower rice? Or instead of, and I'm a big potato eater, I have to cut out all my McDonald's fries now. That's it. I was eating McDonald's fries every day because that was a go-to for me, because I'm on the go, and I gotta, I don't have a chance to sit there and actually cook a meal. But so I have to cut out potatoes, and I love potatoes. Okay, so now my option for that has become sweet potato. Okay, that's better for me. So, but what my question, the overall prop for a person that's on the go constantly and doesn't have a chance to actually cook their food, are there any things from a standpoint of we say about processed, or any things we can either go to Whole Paycheck, which that's Whole Foods, or these other stores that cost you a little bit of money when you go in there in the supermarket? Is there anything in that category? Like I was thinking of getting me one of those Tavala machines so I could have my meal putting in and blah, blah, blah. Is that a way of keeping a good regimen on your meals, your intake for a person that's constantly on the go and can't really do the food thing?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, I think it again goes back to preparation. You know, taking stuff with you that may be a healthy snack. So fruit, obviously, you can always pack with you. You know, packing in a box, packing in a plastic baggie or something like that. Even when you go out to eat, there are still healthy options that you can add. Again, emphasizing trying to get as much fiber as possible and lean proteins. You know, so like grilled chicken, turkey. You know, you want to try to avoid red meat, which actually has had some other data that doesn't look so promising. Fish, things like that are good sources of some lean meats. You had mentioned about the fruit. So fruit, a good thing to think about is fruit is a natural, it's naturally packaged very well, right? So it has sugar. And sometimes people ask me, well, can I eat fruit? Because, you know, it already has sugar and I'm trying to avoid sugar. Well, because of the way it's packaged, right? It's got lots of nutrients and it's got lots of fiber. So it doesn't matter the fruits, you know, it always has fiber as long as it's got that skin on there. It could be strawberries, peaches, pears, apples, all that stuff that I brought up. You know, they all have good sources of fiber. And another way I would also sort of think of it is there isn't any food you cannot eat. You mentioned like you cutting out something. You just need to eat it differently, if that makes sense. So because your body is processing it differently, you can't have as big a portion as you probably would have. You know, so like if you were doing white rice, have a smaller portion than you did before. Using a substitute like cauliflower rice or brown rice or wild rice, which all have more fiber than the white rice, where they strip the fiber off, are all good substitutes. And again, on your plate, trying to get it in that quarter of your plate is a good sort of rule of thumb as far as how much, you know, each amount that you should try to have. Eating on the go, even places like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, they actually do have some healthier options if you look at them. So anything that has like those, you know, those sandwich wraps where they have like the lettuce wraps or the high fiber, like if you go to like Subway, they have those, you know, the whole wheat bread that you can use instead of the white bread. Things like that is where you can make some substitutions as well. And then it's really just, if you can sort of pre-plan, then you won't crave, even if you work on the go. Like there's some days where I'm going to different places, hospitals, all this kind of stuff, and I'll take stuff with me so that I don't have cravings. I'll eat an apple before I head off, or you know, something high fiber cereal before I head off, so that I can, you know, get that stuff in my system and avoid those cravings later. Because that's what happens with our brain later on down the line when we want calories. Initially, we want those like, you know, quick calories, like the snack, the soda, the things like that. But if you plan ahead, you'll notice over time, the cravings will diminish over time. I mean, I'll tell you, like when I was in med school, you know, we would, you know, drink soda because we were all just whatever. But, you know, once you start cutting it out, you realize like, I don't even, you know, if you could put a soda in front of me right now, I would be like, whatever, you know, it's just like, it's not a craving that I have anymore. So over time, your body sort of trains itself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to be on this. I hope I'm not
Right, all right.
taking up too much time in your meeting.
If we continue, you'll have to charge us. So we thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for letting me join. And thank you all for everything you guys do for us.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate this. We know how to catch you.
Okay. Take care. Have a great night.
Yes, thank
Good
you.
night.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Kirk, for letting us steal Dr. Kwame. No, Dr. Kwame. Yes, thank you. And thank you for allowing us to take your time. And we will definitely call you. We greatly appreciate it. Come back and see us. And I know how to reach you.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good night. And thank you, Abel, for your patience. Thank you. When we're talking health and we have someone that is willing to give us that information, we have to bite. When that apple is there and it's red and it's juicy, we have to bite. So, and thank you everyone for your participation and you know, the questions, and that's good. You don't want to have a guest here and not ask the question. So we're going to do the same with Abel. who was here, and I have some. Hold on. So, Kerosene, that's the English version pronunciation of it. Yes, it's improved quality of life for an empowered Latino community. They teach about housing rights. They assist with becoming a citizen, and they teach about immigration matters. I yield the floor to Mr. Abel Nunez.
Well, thank you everyone for inviting me to present. I'm really happy as a former commissioner in Cottage City and chair of the commission. It's great to be in this space. I know some of you through that work, and a shout out to Commissioner Whitley who's on the call. So one, I wanna just I am very happy, so some of you already know that Caresen has opened up an office in Bladensburg. It was part of our strategic plan to grow, and we are really following our community because, if we look at in the early 80s when there was a huge influx of Salvadorians coming into the region, DC was their entry point. But since then, really there's more Latinos outside of the district than there are in the district. I always say that we are bridging from DC to Baltimore and from DC to Richmond, right? So our community is growing. Caresen is a social service organization that provides services. I'm gonna share a small presentation. Here we go. Let me see. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so as you see, our mission is to foster the comprehensive development of the Latino population by providing direct service by promoting grassroots empowerment. So a lot of our work is to provide needed services to the community around immigration and housing, but also to do a lot of advocacy to make sure that our both local, national leaders put policies in place that help integrate the community. Recently with the new administration, we have been under attack. The Trump administration has made it very clear that they want to deport all the 11 million undocumented immigrants that are in the nation. He really has policies that are anti-immigrant, xenophobic, anti-poor, that are going to impact everyone in our community. The reality is that, immigrants play a significant role in our economy, in our communities. This area would look very different if the immigrant community would be deported out, right? We are the backbone of construction, hospitality, restaurants, and I think that it's a symbiotic relationship with the existing communities that are here. And so just a little history of where Caresen comes from. So Caresen was founded in 81. Really by the group of Salvadorans that were coming in at the time, where there wasn't a lot of support for Latinos. There was some, but not many. We were coming from places, people fleeing civil war, and so there was different needs that the community had. So that's the beginning of the growth of the Latino community. Now, Salvadorans have been in this area longer than that, but that's when you begin to see them as our neighbors in the school system and branching outside of DC. But Caresen has had a sort of a pivotal role in immigration laws that have been implemented in the country. So in 1985, we won a lawsuit against immigration called the American Baptist Church. They're known as the ABC class, and we won the ability for people that had applied for asylum in the 1980s and been rejected for a mechanism for them to have their cases reviewed, because people from the same region, from countries like Nicaragua, and Cuba were being approved at a 95% rate, and Salvadorans were being rejected at a 95% rate. And the only reason was because of who the U.S. was supporting at the time. The U.S. was supporting the Salvadorian government and military to the tune of about $1 million a day for 12 years. And that's right, that's your tax dollars that was going there to create havoc in the nation. And one of the consequences was migration. So if you were asking why we have so many Salvadorians in this area, you can thank Ronald Reagan for that. Their investment in the military and the oppression that happened in that nation created a huge influx of migration to this region. So that was the 85. By 1990, we had the ability to have those cases reviewed, but laws changed, and the judges lost the ability to review the cases. And so we needed to create a mechanism to protect them. And so that's when Carecen, along with other nonprofits, community organizations around the country, banded together. And with the help of Congressman Moakley out of Massachusetts, we were able to pass the legislation that created temporary protective status, TPS. Some of you may have heard that acronym. That's a humanitarian program that protects nationals from specific countries whenever there's a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, such as a civil war. So we have multiple countries that have that protection, such as Haiti, Honduras, El Salvador, Nepal, Somalia, Sudan, and there are several other countries that do that. And what this program does, it allows people from those countries to be protected from deportation and given a work permit for a period of 18 months. At the 18-month mark, they make a decision whether to extend the program or end it, but the decision is made based on the ability of the country of origin being able to absorb its nationals. Given that a lot of these countries have major economic issues, political strife, they can't really receive their nationals, so it's just been extended. So you've had Haitians that have been in this program now for like 17 years, Salvadorans for like 22 years. Unfortunately, they didn't create a mechanism to go from temporary protective status to legal permanent residence. And so people continue, as the countries have, as the government has extended TPS, they just extended this temporary. And every time they have to be vetted, they have to have FBI checks, they have to pay the cost of the application and their biometrics. And so again, we've been fomenting those laws, trying to change the immigration system to make it really work for the US. As you see, in 1995, we started our citizenship classes. It's a program specifically. We prepare people for the exam and the interview. Just to note, currently 70% of all Americans would fail the citizenship test, but it's a requirement for those applying for citizenship. In 2000, we started our housing program, and that's when we saw the bubble burst. And we had that sort of economic downturn where a lot of people lost their homes. And so we help people within that. Our three pillars within the housing is rental education, foreclosure mitigation, and financial literacy. By 2002, we really started working on trying to change immigration law. Unfortunately, we have not had success in that. It's still a broken system, and that's why we are where we're at. And unfortunately, we have a new president that's taking advantage and wants to change things. In 2020, we actually started working, and we're very happy that in DC, the DC government put in stimulus funding for people impacted by COVID. And so people that were in the service industry, the gig economy, or returning citizens receive financial stimulus, and we help actually disperse that. We are actually doing the last allotment, and hopefully within the next 2 weeks we'll end it. And I don't think the DC government is going to add additional money, but we're very proud of that. And more recently in 2022, Carecen was one of the organizations that began receiving the buses that were being sent from Texas and Arizona of the recently arrived immigrants. And we helped, for those that stayed in the area, try to help them establish themselves here. Many are now PG residents, many residents of your town. So it's important for you to understand the changing dynamic. Most of them are not from Central America. They're from Venezuela. And so you've seen them driving around in their mopeds. They have gotten into the food delivery business, and it's a way that they can sustain themselves and their family. And then finally, the news that I shared that we are now in Maryland. Very happy to be here in Maryland and hopefully provide the services, and in the years to come, just really grow. And so here are our basic programs. So we have our housing counseling services, we have our immigration legal services, and we have our citizenship and civic engagement, and that's the education piece. So not only do in the immigration legal services, we might prepare the application for becoming a citizenship, but in the citizenship and civic engagement, we prepare them for the exam, we prepare them for the interview, and we also give them, it's a much more robust curriculum where we teach them the responsibilities of being a citizen beyond just the voting in elections, but what are their rights and responsibilities as citizens of this nation. And so you can see immigration legal services. So family-based petitions, that's when immigration allows people to petition family members. Husband or wife can petition their partner, their children, minor children. A citizen, brother and sister can petition their siblings, and so we helped in that process. Citizenship. NACARA is just a specific program. It's called the Nicaraguan and Central American Adjustment Act. There's certain nationals from Nicaragua and El Salvador that qualify, so we help them process, apply for that benefit. Asylum is something that we also do, and that's when people request protection because they're fleeing their country because of violence. And so if they qualify, then we can help them apply for that. Defer action is the DACA program. A lot of the programs like TPS, DACA, those are the temporary programs that different administrations have started. DACA was started by President Obama, although President Trump has vowed to end it. TPS was started under the Bush administration, but many nations are protected under there. Again, Trump is saying that they'll end a lot of the countries that have TPS right now. We do a lot of U visas. These are visas for people that are victims of crimes, and they have special relief if they help law enforcement. So we help process people through that. Then we do just basic service of renewal of the green cards, which is the document that allows you to be here as a legal permanent resident, work permits. We do translation services, notary services. And so in the citizenship and civic engagement, you'll see that it's the sessions, it's the tutoring, it's helping with the applications, is actually, doing mock interviews. We actually invite the boards of elections to come teach people how to actually vote, right? Because it's complicated. People that have never voted in their country of origin, when they see the ballots in our elections, not our municipal elections, but our state and federal elections, you have a ballot that may have 15 pages. And you elect everyone from president to the dog catcher. And so we teach people all of the positions and then not tell them who to vote for, but how to vote. We're a nonpartisan organization, so we support civic engagement, but no parties, no candidates. Again, and you'll see the other things that we do around there in the citizenship. And the housing counseling, post-purchase counseling, that means someone owns a home, we want to make sure they can keep it. That involves budgeting, making sure they understand that they need to pay their taxes so that they, keep that asset, for themselves, and then so they can pass it on to the next generation. We do credit, financial counseling, mortgage default. We do tenant organizing, so we help people to come together and try to buy their own property, like condo. So we help foment condo associations, co-ops, so that they can, as a collective, able to purchase their own property, not single family homes, but buildings. And we use the existing laws to help us do that. And so again, we do a lot of educational work around that, a lot of workshops on lead abatement, on how to make sure that your house is properly winterized, so that you are spending less on your utilities. So this is part of our annual report that you see here from 2024. You see the amount of work that we do in our housing counseling, about 400 people. In our immigration legal services, we serve over 1,500 individuals in the metro area. And again, immigration is federal law. So we can see clients from anywhere in the US. Right now, our client base is changing. Over half of our clients in the legal department are actually coming from Maryland, the majority from Prince George's County towns. So that is why for us, it was very important to move into the area. And then you'll see all the other people that participate in our citizenship classes and our one-on-one tutoring sessions. And that's to help people be successful in their application for citizenship. Usually the classes, the profile of the person that's there is usually the elderly that need more support in learning all the what they need to do to be successful, right? A lot of young people figure out what they need to do and they can study on their own, but we try to really help those that need it. Again, a little bit about the community we serve, primarily the Latino immigrant community. That is our cultural competency. And we do serve people in the DMV area. Again, we focus on low to moderate income immigrants. We don't, anyone that can afford legal counsel, we ask them to do that. And so we try to have our services for those that have less options. And then we do have some other language capacity, so we can serve people, of course, in Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian, Creole, French, Wolof, and the Jola. Those last two are Senegalese languages, and we have those inside our current staff to do that. But we also have access to language lines for languages that we may not have a capacity to serve. Again, still, because of the region, 63% of the people that we serve are from Central America, usually on the lower economic scale. A little bit about our strategic plan, just where we're kind of heading. One of our strategic directions was to sort of increase our capacity and our growth. It was, and part of it was to grow. And so, coming to Prince George's County has been part of our overall long-term goals, and we're really happy that we're beginning to execute on that plan. But you see our goals there of coalition building, civic engagement, making sure that we just don't provide a service, but for our clients to then be engaged in community. We also have fundraising. Right now we're being threatened by the current administration. There's been some funding that has been lost due to the executive orders, but we have great support both from the DC government, and we actually have some support from the PG Council. We have great allies there that have given us some funds to open up our office. Another strategic goal for us is our human talent. It's basically to hire good people, train them so that they can execute our services well and really be an asset to the community, not just to the people that we serve, but to the community in general. And then, our goals of diversity and inclusion, we believe that everybody has the right to be successful in this nation, and that there's systemic processes that help people back, particularly people of color. And so we participate in spaces that open up. Yes, I will say it, we participate in woke activities because we believe that there are people that if you just give them the opportunity, they will succeed and then contribute to our community. And so we don't do this work alone. These are some of our partners around our housing, around our immigration, and around civic engagement. As you see, there are law firms that we do, multiple coalitions that we work with. That will be any different. We hope to partner with the towns here in Prince George's County, because together we can really provide a larger amount of services than by ourselves. And so, we're coming into Prince George's County looking for partners to ensure that we can serve as many people as possible. So I'll end my presentation there. You can see the contact information for Carecen. It's a DC line. We actually are going to have a Maryland number, but with technology, it's all centralized. So basically, it hits our reception area, and they can transfer any client to the Maryland office or to the DC office. Right now, our office is serving as a satellite office, so we're seeing people there more with appointments, but we're beginning to see walk-ins. So, as we really mature in Prince George's County, our goal is to really become just bigger and have a greater capacity to serve folks. All right, so this is some of the pictures of the work that we do. I'll end my presentation there and then just open it up for questions.
Thank you, Abel. You are doing an awesome job. I see. About how many, it's very organized. You have 2 locations. How many staff members do you have?
So currently you have 30 staff members at Maryland. There's usually from our legal department anywhere from 3 to 5 people there, and they're paralegals. In immigration work, there's something called DOJ accredited paralegals, the Department of Justice. What that allows us to do is to accredit individuals to serve as just as attorneys in immigration law. So they can fill any application, they can actually represent the client in immigration court. They can't practice any other type of law, but they're
Right.
allowed, because they've been accredited by the Department of Justice, to practice immigration law. So that increases our capacity. But we do count right now currently with 3 attorneys on staff.
Wow. Okay. So you have 3 attorneys, and everyone is in a specialized, so you have someone that specializes in housing and so on. Because
Correct. Yeah, so we have 2 distinct programs. So now we always refer clients to each other because people are not just one thing. They need multiple services.
Mhm.
But yes, so our housing work concentrates on educating people on their rights as renters. And then if foreclosure mitigation, so if they get in trouble with their property, we try to work with the bank so they don't lose their property, financial counseling, to make sure that they protect their asset, right? And so we try to do that. And for the renters as well, teach them what it is to be a renter and what their rights are.
Right. So you take walk-ins, you take appointments. What's the highest number? What's the greatest need that you found for your walk-ins or appointments?
So, as we're coming in, given the new administration, right now, there's just a heightened need for people to feel secure in their space, right? And so we have a special team right now that's focusing on Know Your Rights trainings. And what that is that we tell people what their rights are when they are, if they find themselves in front of ICE agents, and what they can and cannot do. As an organization, we cannot teach people how to obstruct justice, but what we can tell them is what their rights are and what they should do if confronted by ICE, so that they are put in the best position to have a defense so that they can stay in this country. But even if they can't, what is it that they need to prepare if they are deported back to their country of origin?
And can you tell us some of the things that you tell them if they are confronted by ICE?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we tell people is that they need to prepare. Preparation is your best defense for anything. And that means that if you have, children, you need to figure out what happens to your children, like who picks them up at school. If you or your husband or your partner is arrested by ICE, someone has to go pick up the kids, right? So that's short-term, medium-term, who takes care of them if you're going to be in detention for longer than a day or 48 hours. And then what happens if you are deported? Do you leave the children in the States? Who takes care of them? There are a lot of forms, like for example, in Maryland, you can give someone power of attorney temporarily to take care of your children and make decisions. All of that does not happen when you get arrested by ICE. That happens before. And so we tell people, prepare, prepare, prepare. The other thing is avoid. You need to be aware of where you need to be going. There are areas that are going to be targets for ICE because there are other people. For example, ICE currently is not doing raids. What they are doing is they have orders of arrest for someone that has been ordered deported. And so they go to that residence or they go to that area. But now ICE arrests anyone else that's around that cannot prove their status. And so although they're not doing raids, they are arresting more people because more people are getting caught in their web, in the sort of law enforcement web. Trump has also authorized other law enforcement agencies, such as the DEA, such as the IRS, to lend their officers, their law enforcement branch, to ICE to implement ICE law. And what that's creating right now is a lot of fear, right? One of the other things that the Trump administration did is that they took away a memorandum that prohibited ICE from operating in churches, in schools, and in health centers. And that was called a sensitive areas memo. They took that away. And so now ICE can enter those places. Having said that, we still have rights. Law enforcement cannot force themselves into your property or to anybody's property. That includes your government buildings. They have to have permission, particularly anything that's a private area. So any officer of the law can enter any public area where there's an expectation of being in the public, so your reception area, but they can't go anywhere else where it says authorized, personnel only. And so you can, unless they have a warrant issued by a court, signed by a judge, if they just have an arrest warrant, an administrative arrest warrant, that may be a legal document, but it doesn't give them the authority to go in. The only way they can go in is if they have that court order or if you allow them in. And so one of the things that you can do is to protect people to feel safe. It's like, unless they have a court order, they're not coming in. That's our protocol. And you train your staff to make sure that they understand that. And the other one, and the biggest one, is we have a right to not incriminate ourselves. That means the right to remain silent. And so when I ask you what your status is, you basically exercise that right by telling them that you will not answer any questions. That doesn't mean they won't arrest you or detain you, but it means that you're not giving them information that can and will be used against you, right? And so, what I tell folks is like, if you are in front of an ICE officer, the probability of you getting detained and then arrested is really high. But if you maintain your rights of not incriminating yourself, and if you remember that, then that what allows is for an attorney to give you a better defense. And we give people tips. Like, so for example, with today's technology, all of us, we have a phone, right? And we use our face and we use our biometrics to unlock it. And we tell them, no, take that away, because if you have a Face ID to open your phone, ICE, when they take your phone, can just point it at your face, and now they have access to everything in your phone. And remember, we have a lot of our lives in our phones. And so if you have a password, that actually has to be, they have to ask you for that, and you can refuse to give them that password, right? So we give them tips of what they need to do while they're within ICE. I mean, in ICE, you always need to ask them, am I detained? Am I free to go? Am I detained? Am I free to go? And if you sustain to that, again, it gives you the ability. The other thing that we give, and it's a good tip, people need to remember a phone number. Right now, we have lost the ability, to remember numbers. I think some of us still remember our numbers from our youth, but now in our contact, list, we just have the names. We have mom, we have son, we have niece, and so we tell people, like, memorize a phone number, and that's the person that's going to start implementing your family plan if you are detained and arrested. If you don't, if you can't remember, carry it written down. So, because they will take your phone away if you are put in a detention center temporarily.
I noticed that, and we have a couple of questions in the chat, but I noticed that some municipalities are providing cards, a Know Your Rights cards to some of the residents, just so that they can remember some of these tips.
Correct. It's really hard. We have to remember, whenever we're in front of law enforcement, we all get nervous. Let's be honest about that. And, and no one's going to remember every little piece of advice you give them. But if you have that red card, you can just show it to the officer, and that tells them that even if you can't verbalize it because you're nervous, your heart probably is pumping, you're thinking, oh my God, my kids are going to be left alone, like all the things that may go through someone's mind at that moment. The red card is that thing that tells law enforcement that you know your rights and you're exercising them.
What's that? www.redcardorder.com. Thank you, Mayor Casañas. There's a question in the chat that says, are there plans to provide services in Montgomery County as well as on the Eastern Shore of Maryland?
So we are already working in Montgomery County. So there were a group of Haitians and Senegalese immigrants that were sort of, fell through the cracks. And so Careza went in there, worked with the county to actually provide legal services for them. We're continue to work with the county. We won't have a physical office there, but if the county wants to offer me funds, we would definitely consider opening a fund. Eastern Shore, that's a high bar just because it's farther away. We can probably do like mobile workshops when needed, but consistently we will be in Prince George's County, and we do work with Montgomery County at a lesser extent. Anywhere else we can go, but it probably will not be consistent just because it's a big state.
Thank you. But they can surely contact you.
Yes.
Provide,
They can call the DC number, and I can share the slides with Monica. She can share them with you.
Yeah.
You can see what we do. But again, our doors are open to whoever needs our services. At a minimum, for those, they don't have to be just immigrants from Latin America. They could be immigrants from anywhere. If we can communicate with them, we will provide them service.
All right, Mayor Cephas. Mayor Robinson?
Yes, thank you so much for that presentation. I found it very, very interesting. And I didn't know you had been here for so long and what you have accomplished. We were at the PGCMA meeting last week, and the chief of staff from Congressman Ivey's office was there, and he did send us, he made the suggestion that for the constituents who are worried about ICE, to have what he's called a private release form for the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He sent that to every one of us. I don't know if you use it, but he is saying that if they are worried about us, that they can fill out this form, sign it, and keep it on hand with them. And if they're ever detained by ICE and if they're picked up, then they can get this form right to the congressman, and they will keep a contact of all where they're held at and everything, and make things a little bit easier so that they could try to help them or their families. So the form was, I think, I'm reading the privacy release form for the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Do you have that form, or do you know of that form?
We can probably give it that was a form specifically from his office because
yes,
it's
and
allowed.
he said the chief of staff, he reiterated, anybody, constituents in Maryland who are worried about ICE, to have this form on hand with them, to fill it out. Don't date it, just fill it out and have it on hand with them, because once they turn it in, then they can keep a track of them, and they can find out, that's it, find out a little bit more of where they are and help them if necessary.
Yeah, and you have to remember that because immigration law is federal, they can arrest you in Maryland but send you to a Minnesota detention center. So once you're in the system, they can move you around. This will allow the congressman's office to actually inquire about your family member or the person that may be detained. So that allows them to actually look into your case. Other than that, even the congressman won't get access to that information.
But I'm saying it makes it a little bit easier to find somebody. That's what he was stating, to find somebody. Things happen so swiftly and fast, and you don't know where your family member is, your father or anybody. You need that assistance right away just to locate you, to keep you, and to find out what else can be done. So I was just wondering, did you have that form? They did say that at the PGCMA meeting last week.
Yeah, and I want to share that Congressman Glenn Ivey has been a great ally of ours. He actually, we do delegations to the countries of origin, and I took Glenn Ivey when he became congressman to El Salvador in an education delegation to understand the root causes of migration. So it's someone that's very committed, that's very open. I am really happy that he's doing that because yes, once you're in the web of of ICE, it's really difficult unless you're a trained lawyer to kind of figure out where you're at, and families spend, sometimes months looking for their loved ones.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments?
Mayor Ashton has a question again.
Yeah, I have a few. Do you happen, first of all, thank you for the excellent presentation. In Rockville, we did We have the Know Your Rights cards in all of our community centers, and have been working with partners to get them out. And we've done a couple of sessions, and there was a lot of anxiety. I think at least knowing that they're not going into schools has helped. Now we know they can, but we haven't seen it yet. So everyone is just very much on edge, and we appreciate the work that you're doing to help people feel more secure and prepared. Do you happen to know, and I have a couple of questions, do you happen to know if there are families who, for example, may not know if there is a citizen or someone who's legally here who would need guardians? Like, that's one of the things I worry about is maybe, you know, you have family and friends who are also in the same situation. Do we have a, you know, people who have a need to have an extra person be a guardian for their children?
Yes, and that's what I meant by preparation. Each family is different, right? Each family is configured differently. So these are the questions families need to ask themselves now in a calm state to figure out, because we have single mothers that may need to rely on a neighbor, right? But then we have other families that may have extended families that are citizens and they can count on them. So part of of what preparation means is thinking who can be that person, having that conversation with that person, and clearly delineate what you're asking that person to do for you, and then filling out any paperwork necessary, right? So if you want someone to have temporary long-term care of your child, which is called standby guardianship, then you need to fill that paperwork out and then file it. Because what can end up happening is you may have had that conversation with that individual, but if you don't do the paperwork, then what happens is that that person is not going to have the ability to make medical decisions for that child. So that's why you need to do everything, not when you get detained, but before, so that it's done calmly. And again, different families are configured differently. For each family, it may look different. So that there's not a cookie, you know, template of like, oh, it should be your brother or it should be your uncle. It's who you have around you that you trust and that will be willing to do that for you. And then you do all the paperwork around it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there are people who are coming to you and say, I don't know who to put. I need
Some
help.
of them are, and like we can't tell them who that is, right? Because like I don't know your family situation. You need to choose that one, and then you need to approach that person and do it. The one good preparation tip that I always say: go to a legal service provider and figure out where you're at in your case, how vulnerable you are. So, for example, people that have an order of deportation, it means that they have already had their day in court. So they get what's called expedited removal, meaning that they get caught, they get put 2 days in a detention center, and they're on a plane back to their country of origin, right? And
Yeah, well, I guess like if you hear that there are children being orphaned, and that people need help, it would be good to come back to this group to figure, you know, because there has to be an angel list or someone that people are willing to step forward to house in the event
that might be
we
the
see that.
consequence. That will probably be a consequence, and really where we'll see this, it's in the school system, right? Because they are the ones that are really have a really close relationship with the families. And when the Department of Family Services gets calling in, because there's no adult in the household, right? And so it's going to be government that's going to really respond. I think that as mayors, you're at the forefront, right? Because like as a mayor, you are where they live. And so I think that you're the first line of defense. So yes, I think that that's when we need to coordinate. And if we begin to see that in large numbers, I think I would definitely bring it back here and try to figure out what we can do to support those, if there are children left by themselves, how we can deal with that.
Yeah, and then some of us mayors have received threatening letters already directly. I was one of them. And they're trying to intimidate us as well. So I'll leave that there. But one of the things you said that we have been talking to some of the nonprofits here, and I just wanted to share it with this group, is in our city hall, we do have designated private areas, right? Authorized personnel only. And some of the nonprofits are doing the same. So I don't know if everyone has that universally within your facilities, but we do have authorized personnel. And I just wanted to share that we didn't always have that. So that has been something that we have done over the past several years to kind of designate so that people can't just wander in without warrants and things like that.
Yeah, actually,
The other, yeah.
So I have that too. So I did it when we started talking about the First Amendment right people that were coming into the town halls, that whole workshop that was provided by MML. So after that, I started designating certain areas as authorized personnel only. And I've also received some questions from people that use our town hall frequently as to what they want to make sure that their participants and the people that they work with feel safe. And so what I've told them is when you're using our town hall, it's your private function. So unless they're allowed to go in because you've given them permission, they're not going in. So that's the
Yeah.
way that I'm treating my town hall. But I think you're spot on. We need to make sure that we're putting up these signs. And it's not just for this. It just happened that I already had them up. But to have authorized personnel only in certain places, and also just talk
Yeah.
to town lawyers.
Yeah. And then some of us, like I know in the city of Rockville, we had a referenda to try and allow for or get feedback on non-citizen voting. I know some municipalities are worried about that now in terms of those lists being FOIA'd and shared. What would you recommend to municipalities who are considering that going forward? Because we will have a discussion again in the future, and I just kind of want to get your perspective from an immigrant rights professional.
So I think that as someone that believes in social justice and believes that we need to expand the vote to as many people as possible, I support in theory expanding people's ability to vote. But I do think that to me, from my organization, we see that as a vote as a sort of a sacred right of a citizen. And so that I would prefer that municipalities invest in people becoming citizens because you get that right, as opposed to trying to get people that don't have citizenship. For another also reason, that's not a top priority for the people that I work and I serve. They're not coming to my office and saying, you know what I'm missing is the ability to vote. What they're saying is, I need a good job, I need a good housing, I need good education for my kids. Voting for someone that is not a citizen, it's not high on their list. I think that we need to focus on getting people protected, getting people on the path to citizenship and help them become citizens. Because when they do, then teaching them that when they are citizens, then they should exercise it, because we don't have the best turnout rates. And so we should focus on the people that are eligible to vote to actually go out and vote.
Okay, and my last question is, for the warrants, I know we've just, in groups I've been in, we've discussed like judicial versus administrative warrants. Do you have any, just guidance on, okay, if they come to you with,
Yes.
what are you looking for?
So you have to remember that they may an administrative warrant, it says someone a certain individual with a name has been ordered deported, and that's what they're looking. That's the administrative warrant. That only gives them the right to arrest that individual, but it doesn't give them access to any private area of any residence or anything that's designed as private. The only thing that allows that is a search warrant from a judge. And the difference between an administrative warrant and a search warrant is, one, it is going to be issued by a court. So the letterhead will have some court, right? Two, it'll be signed by a judge. So the signature on that document at the bottom, it'll say judge and then the name of that judge. And third, it will have a specific address. So that's why someone has to review the search warrant. Now, if an ICE or any law enforcement, it's not just for ICE, any law enforcement comes with a search warrant and it just happens to have the wrong address, you can actually tell them they don't have the ability to enter because they don't have the right address. So a search warrant has three major things: issued by a court, signed by the judge, with a specific address and scope of what they're looking in. So a search warrant does not allow them to look at anything and everything unless the judge orders. And you have to remember, a judge will want a reason why they're requesting that. That's why they rarely have search warrants. They're very hard to get. And if they do have a search warrant, I would say two things. One, there are probably other things happening in that location, criminal activities, that warrant that search warrant for the court to get involved. And two, if they do have a duly authorized search warrant, talking to anybody in city government is a nicety, a privilege that they're doing. They actually already have the ability to go in. They don't even have to talk to you because they have the authority of the court. So, but they're going to count that people don't understand or don't know, and will just get permission from the person that's in charge of the space. So that's why we have the training is key here. If they don't have a search warrant, you're not obstructing their job, and you can be like, I'm not trying to be hard, but you don't have the authority to get into the private spaces. If you go get a search warrant, I'm more than gladly allowed you in. The other thing that I would say, be mindful that if an officer of the law does not listen to your instructions, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot put your hands on an officer of the law. We all have, law enforcement. We respect law enforcement. The only thing that you can do at that moment, if they refuse your instructions not to go into the private areas, is photos, videos, or if you can't record, take notes of names of the officers, badge numbers, and then talk to your legal counsel, because at that point you can't physically obstruct an officer from coming in. You can't put their hands on them. If they just come in, there's not much you can do except record.
So I just want to add one thing, sorry. Mayor Ashton, I am convening different municipalities and groups of people to discuss the all resident voting. Personally, in our town, I really advocated and pushed for it, and a lot of people were very upset and angry with me. But for me, it is a huge human right. And for me, the immigrant community was not being heard, but their money was being accepted. And so for me, that's a big no-no. Where we are now, well, as soon as that happened, I started registering people left and right. And we did have a good turnout, a very good turnout in our town, and people were very happy to vote, and a lot of them for the first time. What I'm doing now moving forward is I am not registering people. I've put a pause on that. So we need to talk to some lawyers and to some legal experts to get more clarity on the situation. But as of now, there's a pause on my end. But
Okay, I just wanted to understand, because we're going to be having additional discussions.
Yeah.
Our city attorney has told us it is discoverable. It can be FOIA'd. The city cannot withhold any voter list.
Yeah.
So it's heavy.
Yes, you can. The best you can do is set policies in place about data sharing and that you put a burdensome process in place, but eventually through the court system, the federal government would get access to, and that would be any data set that you have, whether it's for people that are undocumented, citizens, whatever. They will use the courts and eventually will get it. What you can do is put laws to kind of just slow down the process.
Yeah, and I will, to that point, the city does not collect information on immigration status at all for any of our programs. I know our county doesn't as well. I'm in Montgomery County. And they work through nonprofits for work. That is one way to not collect that kind of data. I don't know that every municipality and other counties are doing that, but I think it's an important consideration because we are FOIA-able.
Yep. And I think that educating your citizens and your residents, your towns is very important because, as an ex-elected official, we sort of walk a fine line because we are public entities, right? So by definition, what we do cannot be hidden, right? We are forced to be out in the light. Almost everything you do at this moment has to be in the light. And that means that it's viewed by anybody, right? That's the way we want our government to work, to be very transparent. I think in some instances that can put some people in danger, and so it's a balance. So I would say, talk to your town attorneys to see what the best sort of action and like, again, preparation, what policies can you have in place about data sharing, and then just be mindful of if they do target you, How are they going to try to approach it? And then what are your remedies in the short, medium, and long term?
Mhm. Are you seeing more people who are having difficulty finding jobs because of fear or not having the same access to employment that they used to?
At this moment, no. I think that it's only been a month of the new administration. It feels like 10 years, but it's only been a month, right? And so I think that there's a lot of just chatter out there. The news, the news cycle is pushing almost everything. I think there's a lot in the nonprofit and folks that defend immigrants. We're trying to figure out what's our best defense. I think it'll settle down. At the end of the day, people still need to go to work. What we are seeing in some places, I think in red states, and I've gotten this from folks that I know in Florida, like work sites are empty. So it's not that there's a lack of jobs, is that people are not going to those jobs where they feel fear. And it's more of impactful for those businesses, those owners of those companies, than for the immigrants themselves. I think that unfortunately there is a market here for underground work, and I think immigrants will figure out how to find work, and because employers are going to be willing to hire them, right? I mean, it's just the nature of a market economy. But at this point, we're seeing just a lot of noise. People are afraid, but in practicality, we're not seeing the consequences yet in its full measure. I think 6 months from now, it might be a different picture.
So one more thing I wanted to kind of ask and add, thank you for all the work that you do, Abel. I think it's super important. I'm a former tenant organizer. I used to organize tenant associations all throughout DC, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And what I loved about it is that it wasn't just me helping Latinos, it was me helping everyone. So in all of these apartment buildings that I would go to, it would be Black and brown people. One of the things that I always tell people is when it comes to, let's say, Carecen or LEDC or CASA, just because it has the name Latino in it doesn't mean that they only service Latinos. They will work with anyone and everyone. If you know someone that's going through foreclosure or that needs help knowing what their rights are, anything like that, you don't have to be Latino. So yeah, am I correct in saying that, Abel?
That's correct.
So that's just one of the things that I wanted to kind of put out there.
And actually, I would add to something else, is that we live in a racist country, and sometimes African immigrants fall through the crack. Immigrants of African descent fall through the crack. So we're talking Haitians fall through the crack. I think we're hardwired to kind of work with Latino immigrants. When we think of immigrants, automatically Latinos come to mind, but we have Asian immigrants, we have African immigrants, we have immigrants from other nations of African descent, and so because historically people of African descent have always been getting the short end of the stick, it is no different in the immigration world. So I would say I offer the services of Carecen to work with you, to help you think about that in your towns. Other people that you may not think they're immigrants, but they are, and how can we serve them so that every immigrant gets the services that they need.
Abel, thank you so very much. Again, this has been very informative. And thank you all for your questions. They were very, very good. It's necessary. This type of information is necessary for us. It's necessary for us to take to our communities. These are dear to our heart because our residents are dear to our hearts. And we have to provide this information, and it's going to affect us. It does affect us. When they hurt, we hurt. What they feel, we feel. And one of the questions that you had, Mayor Ashton, about some of the children that may be left because their parents may be taken. I remember we had this situation before some years ago where some of the parents were taken away and their children were left. But I say that this is one of the things that, Abel, you mentioned, was prepare.
Mm-hmm.
So if they prepare ahead of time, and if it's a neighbor that has their citizenship, prepare. Find someone, a friend or something that you can trust, and go ahead. That power of attorney or whatever it is, they have to prepare just like that. If we can encourage them, don't just leave them in that house by themselves. Whatever it is, prepare. I like that list of prepare, the forms, avoiding, all of that. That is important. And that card, that red card, we've got to get it. And thank you, Mayor Porter, for saying that it's available in the library in different languages. So thank you guys for hanging in with us tonight, and Abel for hanging in there with us tonight and answering all the questions, and letting us know where we can find you and being available. Thanks so much. And
Definitely. I left my email on the chat.
Yeah.
So if anyone has additional questions, please feel free to reach out.
You sure did.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. And Mayor LaJan, thank you for being here. This is your first meeting, and everyone say congratulations to Mayor Cephas.
Congratulations.
Just
Congratulations.
and as the Maryland Black Mayor in the town of Cambridge. Yay, yay, yay.
Thank you so much. And I so appreciated this meeting. I learned so much. I have already now just emailed the link to our executive director so we can, get those cards printed out so our residents understand what their rights are. Our Latino residents, our residents that are Black. And I just love that there's a little something for everybody. So I'm so happy to be a part of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to come tonight. We understand that not everybody can make it every month, but as much as you can, we greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate your input and just being here tonight. And again, congratulations. And however we can help you, just let us know. Just let us know. I'm not going to keep you for too much longer. I just wanted to know if Mayor Lilly, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. You just sent me the health initiative for the Maryland Black Mayors, and I think it's awesome. If you could, because we're going into March, and I'd like us to jump on this right away. Ooh.
Absolutely.
And it's right there. So if you could go over that with us so everybody can grab hold and get on it.
Yes. Good evening, fellow mayors. So this is an outline of the program that we talked about in our one of our meetings earlier this year. There's a committee that's comprising of myself, Mayor Casey, Mayor Crossland, and Mayor Can, and it's the Maryland Black Mayors 2025 Health Initiative. And as you can see here, the objective is as community leaders for mayors to set the tone for public priorities and personal health. And so what we want to do this year is within the first quarter of the year, which is quickly coming to a close, we want to make sure each mayor is taking care of yourself and ourselves first, because we can't take care of anyone else if our health is not where it needs to be. So we want to get screened. And if we go down just a little lower on this part, Mayor Casañas, we want to do our preventive care. We want to know our numbers around blood, organ levels, and we want to make sure that we're good. So the first commitment is that we're asking for members of the group to do a health screening with your doctor or primary care provider, a phlebotomist, or whomever you need to see, and get this information. I'm also saying from Mayor Ashton that maybe there should be an inclusion there about sleep hours. Is that correct, Mayor Ashton?
Yeah, that's what I see.
Okay.
Yes. So I'd say like most doctors will say, are you eating well? Are you exercising? But sleep has such a big impact on your cortisol levels, on inflammation, on all the things. And I have to do better on this. But I
Yeah.
bet like your numbers may look all great in those other areas, but your sleep probably is not. So
Yeah. Yeah. That
Well,
is true.
thank you for that input. And one of the reasons to socialize this is so that the group, the mayors can look through and see if there's anything missing, and we can get some consensus behind this. So we'd love to add a component in about a sleep goal or some way to measure if our sleep is healthy and promoting health now or not.
one other thing I was going to raise is in previous workplaces and in our city now, I've been a part of what we call Walktober or walk challenges. City did one in February for Heart Month. Just getting people talking about movement, because some like we're doing right now, sitting at a desk or a table. A lot of us get grounded with meetings and not moving. So that's another potential is just step count.
We have that coming up. He's going to cover that, but that's good. You got it.
Yes, you're thinking around the same line. So
we see
as we get the baseline, then we've got a number of activities that are proposed that can help the mayors to prioritize movement and healthy activities. One of them is that I believe Mayor Gant, if I'm correct, brought up the health summit, and we had Kaiser on earlier today. It would be lovely if we could partner with a health organization that can bring experts in and then also connect the mayors to resources. And then we put that in one of our cities. So we have a health summit where we're able to get together in person and have conversations, get other folks screened after the mayors have done so. And there's some recommendations here for around maybe when that will happen. I know we'll need some time to plan that. So April may be too soon of a date, but we can convene offline after today's meeting to find out what's a reasonable time period to plan the summit. Next item was going to touch on what Mayor Ashton just mentioned. We've got a number of walks that are already planned in cities around consisting of our mayorships. So we've got Mayor Casey has a Divine 9 5K that's coming up, and she told me this walk is open to everyone, whether you're in a fraternity or sorority or not. So that's going to be on May 10th. That's one that we can take advantage of. And then Mayor Miller let us know that in the city of District Heights, they have a walk, a 3K that happens in September. So that's one that's on the calendar. And then Mayor Ashton, if you'll send us the details, I don't know if you said you had one already or one that's coming up, we can add that one in here.
We do Walktober, but we also have at least 2 races. There are more, but we always do, probably isn't the healthy part of it, but we do Suds and Souls. So you race and then there's a beer event after.
Okay. So a little bit of fun.
And then there's a Rockville Twilight.
Well, if you could send us the information about the Walktober, we'd love to include that as an item on the calendar for those who will be participating. There's another optional challenge here. The Army 10 miler is happening. That was one that Mayor Casey has done before and she'll be doing again this year. I'm considering doing it. Just depends on, I'm trying to actually put a little muscle on this year. So I'm going to decide if I'm going to do the 10 miler or not.
It's there.
But if you'd like to, if you find that as we're going through the initiative this year, you're getting really strong and really confident, you can also decide to participate in the Army 10 miler, which is towards the end of the year. So it gives you some time to build up to a super goal if you want to do that. So we want to turn this into a pledge if we can to help keep ourselves accountable. If mayors are receptive to doing so, and we can talk about what deadline makes sense. I think by the first quarter of the year helps us to get that out of the way as far as the screening and deciding which events we'll participate and commit to. And then the last part is Mayor Grant, on that call that we had, Mayor Casey had sent a hashtag, or she sent a post caption that could be shared and used by all mayors, and some hashtags around the initiative. So that's just there below, a little further down.
Mhm. Mayor Robinson has something. Mayor Robinson?
Oh, yes, I wanted to see if we could put dental health. Oral health is very, very, very important to you, okay?
It
It's
is.
part of your overall health. And having your teeth cleaned and oral health done, it's just does magnificent on your body. So, you know, your plaque builds up and you need to have that. So I think we need to put that on there. I have done my challenge. I have been through my doctor. I've gotten my numbers. I have my lung screening. I've had a chest x-ray. I've had everything. So I am really on top of everything and I'm just doing well. So I'll have to put my hashtag in there too and some pictures.
Yes, and you look good.
Thank you so much.
You're looking marvelous.
Mayor
And you're
Stephen
correct.
has your hand raised.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I was wondering if maybe mental health can be added to that because
was.
without having a healthy mind, there's no ability of keeping any of those numbers in check. I know the moment when I was in my most stressful time, that's when I eat the most, that's when I gain weight, and that's when I experience my most health, my worst health challenges. But I do know the moments where finally I'm getting back on track and I feel balanced and there isn't as much stress. That's when I'm able to be active and to get my diabetes in order and be the best mayor and the best mom and spouse that I can be.
Yes. Yep. Correct.
Mayor Gant, Mayor Lily, I'd like to make a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Can we meet in person in March? And have a health provider just do some basic screenings for us, which would include blood pressure, sugar level, and like weight, maybe like BMI. Those are the standard ones that they usually have at health fairs anyways. So that we
The doctor.
for those of us who haven't gone to the doctor, maybe that could be like the baseline that Mayor Lily was talking about.
Mayors, I just wanted to say that the lovely people of Kaiser are actually, we are working with them and had health fair in February, and we will have another one in March on Saturday, March the 8th from noon until 4, and they are doing Know Your Numbers. So if anybody on the Saturday, March the 8th wants to swing by New Carrollton City Hall, you will be able to get your screening done then. And they had great prizes that they were giving to people last month, I'm sorry, including yoga bands to use to stretch. It was lovely.
Do you have to be a Kaiser member?
Oh no, it was free. It's free to the public. So.
Okay. And the time?
Noon until 4.
All right, Mayor. That might be exactly what you wanted, Mayor Casanis. Okay. Thank you so much, Mayor Lily, for putting that together. Very good. That's exactly what we wanted. That's what we needed. Thank you so much for your expertise and committee. All right. So thanks to everyone again for a fantastic meeting and your participation. Is there anything else that we need to cover?
I think we need the announcement about former Mayor Washington's mother.
I did. Oh, did I just do it in the executive committee? Did I do it when we first started? No. I think
No.
I did. Okay, I apologize. I did it just in the executive committee meeting. My apologies. Mayor Washington's mother passed yesterday, and the Maryland Black Mayors will be providing a plant or flower to him. And please feel free to send him a text, email, or call. That's always appreciated. And just for those who may know, Trina Brown in Bladensburg, she lost her brother on Monday, and his funeral was today. And again, send her a text if you know her, or a phone call if you know her. And that is it. Does anyone else have any announcements or anything else for the good of the order?
Mayor, I just quick updates on my end are that we have our meeting minutes. I will share them with you, Mayor Gant. So in our Google Drive for the Maryland Black Mayors under our Gmail account, I use that actively. So I have a folder that has our meeting minutes for 2024, and then the ones that we for this year. I've also uploaded all of our Zoom meetings, our videos, because our Zoom account was at capacity with holding videos, storing videos. And so I've uploaded them to our Maryland Black Mayors YouTube channel. So I'll go ahead and share. I shared it in an email before, but I'll share it here on the chat as well. And then please don't forget, we also have a photo album, and you are free to upload any photos that you have on there. We want to see all of our Black mayors in their towns, all of their projects, but especially now with this health initiative, any photos that you have, please send them over. So that's it on my end in regards to announcements.
Thank you. Thank you for ensuring that that is done. The minutes are there, and your creativity in creating all the accounts for us. Greatly appreciate that. I know you had to kind of catch up with that. And thank you so much, Mayor Cross. I know you said your battery is dying. Thanks for being here tonight. And also for Ocean City, Mayor Miller is starting to work on that. And Mayor Miller, and she is going to, well, go ahead, Mayor Miller. I saw you took yourself off of mute.
Yeah. So I want to start finding a location for our reception in Ocean City. And Mayor Robinson, I'm hoping that we can connect so you can give me some background information, and if we can work together on that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
And want to get, oh, go ahead.
So we're going to just have a couple of options and be able to, I'll be able to provide it as soon as I get the information. But I'm excited. So we'll be able to report out as soon as I get some information to share.
Okay. And Mayor Cassanias and Wash. So we can talk about the, so we'll work the payments online.
Yeah, sponsorship. Yeah, I really want to get that started first so we can do a flyer, a link, because we could still do a save the date, but reach out for sponsorships while we're still working on the location. So I would rather do that sooner than later, the payment part. So when we start talking about it, we could just shoot it to the person and, start getting some funds in. So if we could start on that as soon as possible, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as Mayor Washington is free, let me talk to him, because I think we need to do a financial statement. We need to find out how much we're working with so we can know exactly where we are. And I think we have Zelle that's active or whatever is active.
Okay.
We need to get all that done because we haven't had a report, I think, since December, and we need to have that. We need to find out where we are and exactly how much money we have so we can begin with deposits and things like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. And okay. That's all I have for
And the Maryland Mayors.
Right. The
Maryland Mayors Conference.
Maryland Mayors Conference on the 5th. The governor's mansion. Look for your invite. We talked about that earlier. Look for that invite. Make sure you register the 5th through the 7th. Make sure you have your hotel reservation. If not, you can definitely stay with Monica Casanias. Those who are on the exec committee, I'm sorry, not the exec committee. Those who are on the board that are still here, please hang on to the Zoom. All those who are not, you can drop off after we motion to adjourn this meeting. I just have one more thing for you. I forgot.
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Is there a second? Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty. Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, all those except for board members. All right. Looks like all those.
Mayor
I'm
Monroe.
still here.
I'm still here.
Waiting for Mayor Monroe to drop off.
Great meeting.
Mayor Monroe needs to drop off. She probably stepped away from the phone. From the can you drop her off, Miss Mayor?
I'm trying to see if I can. I am not seeing how to
do it. Yeah, maybe you can't. Our meeting went long. Didn't go as long as our PGCMA meeting.
No, it didn't. But it was good information. It was very good
It was really good.
information.
It was a really good meeting.
Yeah. It just seems like we've had a zillion Zooms.
I know we had our first pre-budget meeting last night.
Oh. We were pretty quick last night. We started to talk about our budget stuff, but then I think the next meeting we go into it.
Can we drop and come back on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can drop.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I just have something really quick to mention. I don't know if it's going to take a discussion. Yeah.
Okay. All righty.
Nope, that did not make it happen.
Huh?
Ms. Mel Miller.
Don't make it happen.
Mayor Monroe's still on.
Yeah, Mayor Monroe is still
Oh, she fell asleep. She must. She's like, I ain't hanging up.
No, I'm going off. Thank you, ladies. I'm going off.
Oh,
I was just engrossed. Forgive me. I'm off. Thank you.
She was doing something else.
I'm back.
Okay, so I was just gonna.
Mayor Monroe's still
She's still
on.
engrossed.
No, I'm new. I got it.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty. Oh.
Okay.
So I was just going to mention that. So I was just going to mention that one thing, being in Maryland Black Mayors, of course, we're not, and I know Todd is going to be the president next year, but of MML. But being in Maryland Black Mayors, we are not under that umbrella of MML. And we talked about that earlier. But with PGCMA, we are. And we were talking about our bank account earlier. One of the things I found out today is that's important. Oh, Mayor Ashton, how she popped back on? Huh? We can't hear you. We're done. We're having a board meeting. Did something happen? And you're steady talking and we cannot hear you. You're not muted, but I think you didn't hit okay. Did you hit okay? Okay, bye-bye. We like you though. One of the things is for PGCMA, when they have access, just think about it before you, because it had to sink in my head. When they have access to our, and think about it, to our accounts, our bank account, when things that occur, like what occurred, they are able to assist us in obtaining information when we have to cut off access from individuals. So let's say we had to cut off access from Mayor Can. We now, you won't be able to get anything because he had access. But if MML had access, they would be able to have the access. So every time, if this were to happen again and they don't have access or oversight, every time, if we're the only ones, if our organization is the only one, then we don't have another ally, or we don't have another person outside of our organization that will be able to assist us in obtaining information. I know we don't want anyone else in or to direct our books, but it's almost a safety net when someone within our organization breaks the rule or breaks our security. We need to have someone on the outside that's on the inside that can have access when we can't get it. And that's just something I want you to think about.
Are you saying that they can replenish the funds from some kind of an insurance purpose?
Not replenish them, but they can gain access when we can't. So
they can stop what's happening from happening anymore, but that's it.
Right.
Okay, but we can do that
Mhm.
anyway, because anything that would happen with anybody who's in this
We
organization.
can't get it. So let's say.
No, yeah, I get that part of it, but usually when we can go to the state prosecutor's office to have that started, an investigation started immediately. And we can ask them if they can freeze the funds, but you can also go
We
to
can
a
still
bank.
have, we can
Yeah, but
still
we can,
have control.
right, and that's what I'm saying. And we can
Yeah.
also go to a bank and tell them that we believe fraudulent activity has been going on and to stop it immediately, and then reassign, take multiple board members to do it, but we can easily go in and go to a bank and immediately ask for them to freeze the account, as long as we can show that we're all board members and that we believe that fraudulent activity has been going on.
We can say freeze the account, yes, but we won't be able to get access to it because he is the one that it's his name on it.
Yes, but we don't just have one person's name on it, correct? There's always a second.
In this case, his name is the name on it. It's frozen. So if MML has access to it, then they would be able to get it. In this case, they can get it. In MMA's case, only person that can get it is his.
No, but I think we're kind of talking about the same thing, but
listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. The only person that can get access to MMA is Ben.
Because he's the only one that had access to it.
And everybody else is gone.
Oh.
So now, if MML has oversight over these accounts, that won't happen in the future. We're learning.
Right.
But I don't believe
But
MML.
nobody wants that to happen. But it's like,
well, that means as a board, we need to make sure that we always have something that has minutes on it.
It comes with
that has a second person.
Stipulations. It comes with stipulations.
Right.
It can happen, but it can come with stipulations. I'm just saying, think of it. We don't have to come up with it tonight.
Right. But the other thing is, I was thinking, do we need to close out I'm thinking we may need for PGCMA, we may need to start another account.
Oh, PGCMA, I think they have the statements, right?
We're
good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying for PGCMA, we may need to create another bank account. Yeah. And then for Maryland Black mayors, we should at least look at other options, or do we have an attorney on retainer? Is that something we need to do? Because we need to also make sure somebody else is. So who's on our bank accounts other than Washington?
Black mayors is me, Mayor Robinson, and Washington. It's three of us, and two people have to sign.
Okay, good.
For a check to be signed.
I think we need a bond.
Or a check to cash.
I'm confused then. If you have three people on it, then you're fine. I think the issue is if you only had one person.
Oh,
but we
no,
have three.
I'm saying we have a problem. I'm not saying we have a problem.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're a separate entity, so we're not under the MML umbrella.
Right, but I think what Monica is saying is what I was trying to say, which is that I understand that they may have needed to go in if there was only one person, but with us having the checks and balances system, if we think something is fraudulent, the other two go to the bank. Since we have three, the other two go to the bank together with the minutes that say that they have authorization to be in the account. And then so there's nothing that MML could have done for us in this instance for our organization if there are 3 people who are left on the account. If there are 3 people who are signing and 2 others are not, one person does something, the other 2 can stop it. And then we immediately go to the Maryland State Prosecutor's Office, which only handles cases that involve elected officials or very high officials in state government. But any elected official who does something, or someone who is high in state government and holds a large office in state government, is what the state prosecutors are there for. So there's nothing, in our case, there's nothing else that MML would have had to do.
I understand that too, but I think what we need is, first of all, we have enough people. Okay, we have enough people to sign in our account. What we need is to have financial information each month. That's number one. Okay, that's number one. We got to know where we at at all times. Okay, and we have not done that.
We dropped the ball. We slipped.
Right, and then we also, the finance committee that we have now is would oversee to make sure that the accounts is what it says it is. Okay, because I think a lot of things were that there was nobody overseeing this. Okay, you could report anything you want to report, but if it's not in the bank, it's not in the bank, and there's nobody overseeing it. So that's the main thing. So we could do that. But there's also a bond.
Yep.
We need to put bonds on people who are
handling the money.
Handling our money.
Yeah.
And then Shelley Dorsey Washington, also told me that really what is the perfect scenario is not to have your treasurer signing checks. For nonprofit.
Yeah.
The other 2 people can sign checks, but your treasurer does not.
I think we talked about that too at PPC.
And we did it now because we did this because for the problems we've had before. So we're trying to, kill everything.
You learn as
we learn, and we got it pretty much together now. But we do need a bond.
Right.
We need to be paying a bond.
Yep.
For our money.
Yeah. Because they can help us reclaim funding. Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened here. But we all have to safeguard ourselves, organizations.
So my question was, when we had the issue with the prior treasurer, did we actually see those funds get placed back into our account? Do we have that? Or do we have an oversight?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
It did.
Yeah, but this is good conversations. That's why when we were saying about our board meetings, at least have them prior to our meetings, or like we said, we're catching up after the meetings. That way we can continue to stay on top of everything. When you don't have board meetings and you don't have that input, that's how a lot of things I think got slipped through the cracks with PGCMA. But this is good. This is good.
And I'm ready to have those financials each month. We got to know where we are, because once you slip and 3 or 4 months is gone, that's too late. Everything can be gone by that time. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I have a question when it comes to the financials, like how I think so I was a treasurer once for Toastmasters, and being a treasurer sucks. It's just awful. What's an easy thing that can be done? Is it just printing out the statement and submitting it for review? Like what would make it easier for someone to kind of just do that?
I think that would be the easiest way to be very transparent, because then if you're printing out the statement for the board, everybody's seeing it, and then that way nobody can say, oh, we didn't know what it was. And then that way the board can say that we have looked at it and we have approved it.
So at the
So
very
the,
basic level, it's just about printing up a statement and sharing it with the exec board and having the exec board sign off on it.
That at the very, at the very basic level, that's what you need to do.
And approving that monthly report, all that goes
Yep.
together.
Mm-hmm.
well,
Yeah.
one
And
of the
it's all, and let
recommendations,
me say, it's all subject to audit. Remember, we talked about an audit.
right,
We
right.
all,
Right.
And
it's all
the
subject to audit. We're getting there. We're gonna get there.
and the best thing you have to have is a financial system that you cannot manipulate.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And of course, Excel you can manipulate. And
Right.
that is what PGCMA has.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
QuickBooks.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
true.
And
But
that's
but
why
you know, I'm
the
sorry.
auditor told us to get that QuickBooks. Remember, the auditor told us we
Right.
need that QuickBooks, and
Right.
that's what we have now. So I think, and they're learning too. Excel you can manipulate. So
PGCMA is not going to want to change because Maryland Black mayors, Mayor Robinson did not want to change either until she came in and said it,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
we
Well,
changed.
Yeah.
I think that with the finance committee, we talked about performing. I think it may shed a
Yeah.
different light on us doing that. We have to
What's her
do it.
name? Mayor Robinson?
Yeah.
You got her, right? What was her name?
Ellis.
Yeah.
Last name
Yeah.
Ellis.
Oh,
E
Yeah.
L L
The
I S.
delegate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His daughter.
Yes.
So my thing is,
and
I'm
it's
trying to figure
coming
out,
out of there.
and I know it's late, but I was trying to figure out how did Ben get a debit card when they said that Patrick and the other gentleman was still on the account? I'm trying to figure out how did they stay on the account? Because normally it is one other person. The president normally signs the check with the treasurer. So I was trying to figure out, where did that breakdown happen?
It's according to the person at the bank. Because if you don't get the right person at the bank to take care of you, because didn't that happen to us, Mayor Robinson? Because when we
Yes.
went back the second year, we found out that somebody else was back on it or something.
We had to get Medlock. We had to get Medlock. Now, how long that been?
Yes, yes.
We had to get John
Oh,
Medlock. I had
Yeah.
to call him. Because
Yeah,
we needed two people. That's who we
yeah.
need.
And somehow or another, somebody
and
was
Felicia
still on.
Felicia wouldn't come. Wanda wouldn't come. We had to get another, and we ended up with Medlock.
Can
And
I
then-
tell you what I think
okay.
may have happened with PGCMA? Also, it is very, very likely that because Patrick was taken away so quickly, and that only happened a year and a half ago. And then if it's the Kevin that I think it is, then that's the Kevin
Right.
who was from
That committed-
Hyattsville.
Right, it committed suicide.
That happened very quickly. And they
Okay.
both happened within a year of each other,
Mm-hmm.
with us having new, leadership or a new mayor. And I think that because those things happened so quickly, that the proper channels were not followed when Ben came on.
But I'm still trying to figure out.
Because he
I don't know.
would have been able to sign on to it. What he could have
But
done, and that, I mean,
he
as
could have
in,
brought it back to PGCMA.
he could have just said, "Hi, I'm the new treasurer for PGCMA. Here are the meeting minutes that show that I'm the new treasurer.
You can't do that.
These other two
But
people."
even if he had that, it had to have a new president and on there.
Yeah, but if somebody had just come in with him
So
and
I
just
don't
signed
know.
off
I'm just
saying he's
trying
the
to
new
figure that out.
treasurer, yeah. If somebody had just said he's a new treasurer without saying take off these other names.
I doubt it. At the bank, you have to have the letter.
Yeah.
And with the new
But that-
officers.
Yeah.
With the new
Yeah, that's what I
officers.
said. He would go. That's what I'm saying. He went with that letter saying, "Hi, I need to be added to this account." And they did, you know, if the person who was there didn't say, do we want to remove these other two?
Oh, yeah. But
Yeah,
we
that,
still
so
had
anyway.
we still had to find the previous signer. We had to have one previous signer there.
That's what I was just trying to
right.
figure out.
We had to have one previous signer. That's all we ended up with. Madeline. We had to have somebody else.
Our person. Good. That's all. Okay. Well, I know it's late and I gotta do some things, but this was good conversation.
But what we need is that thorough switchover. You gotta make it thorough. You gotta you gotta release everything, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta release it from that previous treasurer and those previous signers, if that's it, and you gotta go ahead and do it. It took us a while, Mayor Gant. Didn't it take us a while to do this?
Yeah, it did.
It took a while because we couldn't get everybody on one page. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's about talking to a lawyer to see if some type of an MOU or some type of a contract needs to be signed so that you don't have these issues moving forward with people who are just not willing to transition, you know, things over. And maybe
It's that position. It's something that happens with this treasurer's position. Some kind of something that happens.
well, I mean, that's the easiest way to mess with an organization is through the pocket.
But you need a tight rein. That's all you need is a tight rein. You got to have a tight rein on people, you know, to say, well, you know, this is correct. Okay, that's number one. You got to have an overseer.
Mayor Robinson, can you send us the name of the young lady who helped us with auditing before?
Yeah.
Since she's a CPA, maybe we can, you know, I mean, not for the mayors, but for PGCMA.
Yeah, to get some guidance and some structure.
Yeah,
I can send it to you. Yeah.
I was just thinking forensically, that might be a great way to move forward.
And I gotta tell you, I used to work at an investment firm when I was younger, and they wouldn't hire me without a credit check. And this was like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
24 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So that was back in what 2000. They had to do a background check to make sure that I didn't have a lot of debt, that I didn't have a gambling problem, like all of these things.
So you couldn't be compromised.
Yeah. So maybe that's like an additional check that you put on people. I mean, it's gonna make it harder to get a treasurer, but I don't know.
Yeah. So do you all do financial disclosures?
Oh yeah. Those are required.
Yeah. Well, I
By the state.
started out on the cable commission. We had to do ethics and financial disclosure, ethics training, but they stopped doing the ethics training, but you still have to do the financial disclosure. But but yeah, I think it would be good to talk to her and see how she can help us and what that would look like.
Yeah, you'll also get paid on the cable commission. Getting the stipend on the cable commission.
Right. And you had to cite where you were getting income from.
Right.
Other sources.
Yeah.
You have to constantly, you have to do that every year. So So yeah, through the city and through my business is what I put down every year.
I'm saying that you're getting a stipend for the cable commission. So me being the treasurer for PGCMA, I'm not getting a stipend. So
right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If you're a member of PGCMA, you should already be doing financial disclosures because you're an elected official.
Right. And we have to do them every year.
Yeah, exactly.
No, our PGCMA has not done an audit in a while, have they?
Right.
No.
Right.
That is correct.
That is another they have been doing it, I mean, long time ago. Now let me tell y'all. This ain't the first time this happened, okay?
Right, I know. I know.
I just want to let y'all know.
I know that.
but we need to get into the habit of an audit. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the whole thing. You know, you get a finance committee, somebody to make sure it's overseeing whatever's
Yeah.
going on financially and monthly reports, get a
Right.
bond, and then make sure we get an audit. An audit
Right.
every 2 years is not that, well, we don't need it right now. We did have a lot of, PGCMA had a lot of money.
We did, and I
A
don't even
lot.
know what happened to that money that
Yep.
they had. It was supposed to be for that scholarship. I don't even know
Yes,
what
sir.
happened
That's
to that.
scholarship money.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't even
This
know
ain't the
what
first
happened to
time.
that. Yeah. So anyway, I got to get off, but this was
It's
good.
in the robot.
Yeah.
It's in that robot from City Pleasant. Here it is.
All right, y'all. Everybody have a good
All
night.
right. Good night. Good night.
Everybody
Yeah,
have
have a
safe
good night.
trips to
All right.
Annapolis. See y'all in Annapolis.
All
Okay,
right.
sounds
Good night.
good.
Bye.
All right.
Good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I love